and his custody with the Delhi police has been extended by 5 days. So the police wanted 10-day custody. The courts have, at least for now, extended the custody only by 5 days. The police has decided now to take Aftab to 2 other states where apparently Aftab had visited to ascertain why he went there and if there were others who helped him. Well, viewers, let us begin with some pictures. The pictures that you see on your screens on top are exclusive to Times Now. This is Shraddha Valkar, a carefree college student. These pictures date back to 2018. In these pictures, she's sharing a lighter moment with her friends, and as she laughs along, viewers, there is no sign of any impending stress in her life. As I said, this was in 2018, 4 years before the alleged assault, blackmail, and finally the alleged gruesome murder. Now, about a year later, in 2019, Aftab entered her life, changing it forever. Police say that he has now allegedly confessed to killing her, chopping her body into pieces and disposing of the parts bit by bit. Today, amid chants of Fasi, though Aftab got no relief, a Delhi court has extended his police custody and given a green flag for even a narco test. Many people are wondering why a narco test should have been necessary if in fact the police are claiming some breakthroughs with regards to the collection of forensic evidence. But viewers, many people are saying this is no ordinary crime. Times Now also has been piecing together the murder mystery and decoding the psychological profile of Aftab Punawar by speaking to several experts. What we have been able to access, viewers, are food bills, are details of his online activities. Sources in the Delhi police have also relieved chilling details of how Aftab not only chopped up the body of his friend Shraddha, but possibly also got gratification post the murder by going out there and consorting with other women. Viewers, a large number of friends are not surprised. These are friends, of course, of Shraddha. Times Now spoke to some of them who reveal the abuse, assault, and emotional blackmail that she was going through. They said that from time to time, Shraddha would confide, but found it difficult to leave because Aftab would say that he would commit suicide if she left him. Well, viewers, there are also now some reports that this relationship was so toxic that the end was perhaps inevitable. Listen in first, viewers, to what Shraddha's best friend Shivani Mahatre had to say. It's the first time Shivani Mahatre has spoken to anyone in this detail. Listen to this.
She only mentioned that he used to hit her very badly. That's the thing, she only mentioned it. And that was before 1 year. It's been now 1.5 years. 1 year before this happened. So after that we were not in contact at all.
So Shivani, you are saying 1 year before, 1.5 year before you met her, and from that time he was hitting her. So see how badly.
There was no reason actually. She mentioned that from small things also they used to fight and all. So she didn't mention the proper reason. I didn't ask her. I only told her that if this is the problem, this is the case, you should leave him. Because he wasn't that close to me later on. When she met me after 2 years. And then I couldn't force her to do anything because that
Correct.
was the first meeting after 2 years. So I can't tell her like,
Do
proper
this, do
ekdam haq se ki, do this, do that. I only suggested her that this is not fair. I think you should leave him. And she will say, okay, I'll think about it. I'm thinking about it that I'm gonna leave him, but then he loves me and he always, gives me, like, I'll do suicide and all. He always blackmails me. So, like, I think he'll do that. So, I can't leave him.
Okay, blackmailing also. He used to blackmail also.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me,
That was the reason she was not leaving him.
if you see in the news,
Yeah.
if you see in the news, her body was in the fridge. So, what do you really think she mentioned about the drug element that he used to take and did all that?
No. Like, she never mentioned it, but I think he must be doing it.
लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं अब जिस तरह से अभी ये हादसा हुआ ऐसा लग रहा है कि शायद वो हमें क्योंकि किसी लोगों को बताई जो काफ़ी क्लोज थे, लेकिन हम भी थे उस समय, शायद ये गलती होगी कि हमने उसे ज़्यादा कोशिश नहीं किया बातचीत करने की, लेकिन वो अपने रिलेशनशिप को लेकर शायद बताना नहीं चाह रही थी. कहीं ना कहीं ये भी कारण है.
Well, viewers, as details emerged, more gruesome details that is, we have seen a spontaneous outpouring of anger. First by a group of lawyers, and I'll show you pictures of that in court, where certain slogans were being chanted, demanding instant justice. Let's pull out those pictures also there. Let's boost the audio on those pictures. Hang Aftab chants were ringing out inside the court complex just before the hearing. Listen to the demands that are being made, viewers. There were also protests, viewers, in Chhatarpur area. That's where, of course, in Mehroli, that is, in South Delhi, where the couple had been staying. And those protests are still continuing into the evening. Most of them have been held by Hindu groups. And listening to what was said during those protests, placards of all sorts have been put up. And essentially, viewers, the demand is that there should be immediate death penalty for Aftab-like cases. That is what is being sort of demanded, and you heard that. Also, the protesters believe that this demand for immediate death in cases such as this is the only deterrent. Listen in. Okay, can we boost the audio on some of these protests also that take place in Mehroli? Do we have that, or we don't have that? Okay, we don't have that, viewers. Sorry about that. It should have been there because you would have got a sense really of what the public there was demanding. Those protests are still continuing. We've had live visuals all through the evening. But the point is that a shocked India, at least in some capacity, is not being able to contain its anger. And this is the reflection of that. I want to open this up because obviously, viewers, this is opening a whole new can of worms. In the past also, we have, after especially the Nirbhaya case, we had some public protests, and I don't know if these will, in this particular case, will go nationwide, but certainly in the Nirbhaya case, the scale was completely different to all of this, and it led to various changes in the law, etc., etc. Now, are the demands here that are being made valid by the protesters? That's a question that obviously will come up for debate, and we have Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, with us. We also have Vinod Bansal, the national spokesperson, the VHP Nirmal Kaur, a former IPS officer, among others. Let me first begin with you, Mr. Vinod Bansal. Now, many people are saying, Mr. Bansal, that why is a religious angle being injected into what appears to be a straightforward crime of passion, etc.? Obviously, it's very diabolical, it's very gruesome, but essentially it's a crime of passion. So why is everyone making this about religion? Mr. Bansal.
Actually, this is not the one and sole incidence, Rahul.
Okay.
Yeah. This these are the chronology of the event, actually. The chronology of the incidents which is being happening throughout the country. आप देखिए कि ये कोई अकेला घटना होता तो आखिरकार झालावाड़ के कृष्णा वाल्मीकि को नहीं मारा जाता, जयपुर के खेमचंद महावर को नहीं मारा जाता, अलवर के योगेश जाटव को नहीं मारा जाता, अलवर के संपत भैरवा को नहीं मारा जाता, झालावाड़ की पूजा मेहरा को क्यों मारा गया, बांसवाड़ा के गौरव प्रकाश भट्ट को क्यों मारा गया, पाली की सारिका को क्यों मारा गया, भीलवाड़ा के आदर्श तापड़िया को, चित्तौड़ के रतन सोनी को और कन्हैयालाल साहू को क्यों मारा गया। ये तो केसेस मैंने बताया वो जो कि हिंदू लड़कों को या हिंदू युवकों को मारा गया। अब मैं आपको लव जिहाद के केसेस बताता हूं जो वो हीनियस क्राइम हैं और जो उनके तथाकथित शौहर या लवर ने मारा, जिसको आप कहते हैं लवर, मैं उसको लव जिहादी बोलता हूं। वो कौन थे? लखनऊ का लव जिहादी नदीम था जिसने सीमा सोनी को मारा था। इलाहाबाद का अदनान जो था हिना तलरेजा को मारा था। कोटा के रिजवान ने अंतिमा को मारा था। राहुल दिल्ली के अशरफ ने खुशी को मारा था। मेरठ के साकिब ने एकता देसवाल को क्यों मारा था?
बंसल जी।
रोहिणी दिल्ली की लाइक खान ने नीतू को क्यों मारा था?
बंसल जी,
ये बेसिकली एक लंबी लिस्ट है, एक लंबी फहरिस्त है।
बंसल जी एक मिनट, ना तो पुलिस ने इसमें, neither has the police injected a forced conversion angle into this in its FIR, neither are they investigating that. We know that Shraddha was living voluntarily with this individual Aftab. She in fact left Maharashtra with him voluntarily. There was never any talk about conversion. Even the family has thus far not come out and alleged in express terms that this was love jihad. Many people are saying that you are today trying to communalize this for political gain, and therefore to come out now and say that, you know, people...
Not at all.
No, but then explain to me, if the parents, I mean, if the parent, the relatives are not claiming this, if the friends are not claiming this, why are you claiming it?
नो उनके फादर ने साफ कहा है इसमें ये जो लव जिहाद के एंगल से इनकार नहीं किया जा सकता, साफ कहा उन्होंने। और एक फादर ने कहा है, कल कहा था, मैं आपको वीडियो बाइट पे दिलवा दूं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, लेकिन क्वेश्चन ये है कि देखिए बात वो नहीं है, बात ये है कि जो इंसिडेंस है ना बेसिकली, आप देखिए कि अगर उसका इंटेंशन प्यार का था।
बंसल जी, लुक, आई एम नॉट स्टॉपिंग यू फ्रॉम प्रोटेस्टिंग फॉर capital punishment or anything. The problem here is the father was asked in the course, he spoke to us also in the course of a TV interview. He was asked, look, is this a case of love jihad? And he said it could be. He didn't say it definitely is. He said it could be. Neither has this been denoted by the police to frame a case. Now you are making this claim and you are saying that crimes of this category, the only deterrent is death sentence, right, Mr. Bansal? Or are you making a claim that case,
not only that,
in any case where there is murder under 302, there should be an automatic death sentence because that's the only deterrent? What exactly are you saying? Because right now I don't want to go into this Hindu-Muslim angle. I'm sorry, because there is no proof. If you can bring out the proof, you know, submit it to the police should add that.
नहीं राहुल, मैं आपकी बात से सहमत हूं। देखिए बात यह है कि पुलिस की एक मजबूरी है क्योंकि दिल्ली के अंदर कोई एंटी कन्वर्जन लॉ नहीं है। आप दिल्ली के आसपास के अगर राज्यों की तरफ देखोगे तो उत्तराखंड, उत्तर प्रदेश और हिमाचल प्रदेश और हरियाणा के अंदर ये एंटी कन्वर्जन लॉ है, एंटी लव जिहाद लॉ है। इसके कारण वो जो लव जिहादी हैं उनके लिए दिल्ली सेफ हेवन बन गया है और वो आराम से जाकर के यहाँ आकर के छुपते हैं और लव जिहाद करके चले जाते हैं आखिरकार। आप देखिए कि ये जो पैटर्न है, मैं आपको बताता हूं। आपने कहा कि
So you're asking for death.
Let me explain you. Okay. Let me explain you. मैं कह रहा हूं दो बातें नहीं, बिल्कुल आई एम आस्किंग फॉर द डेथ, नॉट ओनली डेथ। मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि इसके जो कॉन्स्पिरेटर्स हैं, ही इज नॉट द अलोन पर्सन। आप देखिए कि ये जो हत्यारा था, जो क्रूअल हत्यारा था, उसके साथ में कौन कौन लोग थे, कौन सी किताब है जिससे पढ़ करके उसने ये 35 टुकड़े किए?
अच्छा, okay.
आखिरकार कौन सा वो मदरसा है जहां से ये चीजें पढ़ के आया आखिरकार? और कौन सा वो मौलवी है जिसने ये शिक्षा दी? बिकॉज ऑफ द रीजन, लेट मी क्लियर यू, आखिरकार जो आप कह रहे हो ना कि लड़की,
नहीं विनोद जी एक मिनट मेरी बात सुन लीजिए ना, जस्ट लिसन टू मी 30 seconds. See, okay, you are demanding death in this case. You are saying that this is allegedly a case of love. You are definitively saying this is a case of love jihad, even though the police have not mentioned this under the express sections of the penal code. You are saying that is because in Delhi there is no forced conversion law, etc., etc. Okay,
because of lack of the law.
Okay. Now wait. Now in the Bilkis Bano case also, sir, where a Muslim lady is raped, there are convictions, and a young child is killed. You and other groups are demanding that those people should be freed. So people will say, why two separate principles are being applied?
No.
There is there is one second. There is also Dera Sacha Sauda Ram Rahim. He also raped. He also murdered. He is today out on bail. So why are we applying the principles selectively? That's a question that many people are asking. He's on parole, sorry. And he's, holding satsangs, etc., etc. So I'm only asking you, is there an inconsistency? Are we getting carried away now, or we are attributing motives for political reasons? That's a fundamental question I'm asking you, Vinod ji.
नहीं राहुल जी, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि आप जो है ना जी, वो जो 35 टुकड़े करने वाले नरसंस हत्यारे भेड़िए के बचाव में आप इतने कुतर गढ़ रहे हो, मुझे ताज्जुब हो रहा है। आपके जैसा विद्वान पत्रकार और उसको जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश कर रहा है। आई एम सरप्राइज्ड टू नो।
सॉरी, विनोद जी, when you start losing, no, 1 second. When you don't have an argument to give me, don't attack me. I have not attacked you. I've only asked you questions. Don't get personal with me. I don't like it.
No, I'm not.
No, 1 second. One second, Mr. Bansal. Neither have I talked about your experience. Neither have I talked about your qualifications. I'm only asking you, as an anchor, a specific question. Are we being selective? You can choose to not answer the question. You can say, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't apply. There is no similarity between X case and Y case. Don't attack me. I don't like it, and it will not be tolerated. Please.
Definitely.
You keep this. You keep this kind of tone and tenor with other anchors, not with me. Please listen to me, Bansal ji. I am very respectful to everybody. I call you. I don't call you Vinod. I don't call. I call you Mr. Bansal. I'm being very. No. I'm being very. No, hang on. Just a minute. I'm being extremely responsible. And you need to be responsible also. Hang on. 1 minute.
Don't be personalized.
No. I'm not being personal. You are being personal. So I'm telling you. I asked you a question. You gave me a reasonable answer saying that, okay, these laws don't exist in Delhi. No, 1 minute. Listen to me. You said these laws don't exist in Delhi. So we should not be applying this law. The Delhi police has no reason to apply the law. I said, okay. But I want to ask you, right now, there is no evidence to suggest. I'm not in any way creating a rationale. I believe this person should be given the strictest punishment under the law. There are precedents where people like Dhananjay in 1994 was sentenced to hang. Fair enough, hang this man. I'm only saying that, are we extending the logic too far on the basis of zero evidence? That's all. That's all I asked you. That's all. I am not being personal with you. I can ask you that question. But let me open this up. Okay, let me open this up, Bansal ji. Let me open this up. Let me ask the other side. Let's bring in some other point of view.
राहुल जी, मुझे आपने 1 मिनट भी अनइंटरप्टेड नहीं दिया।
आप 4 मिनट ले लीजिए।
आप इंटरप्ट करते रहे, लेकिन बात जो मैं जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं, जो मैं कहना चाहता हूं, मैं वो जवाब नहीं देने का मौका नहीं दिया।
आप बोलिए सर, आप बोल लीजिए। फिनिश योर पॉइंट।
मैं ये कह रहा हूं, देखिए, दिस इज द जनरल पैटर्न ऑफ जिहादिस्ट फोर्सेस कि लड़की को, हिंदू लड़की को पहले फंसाते हैं, फिर उसके बाद में उसको रेप करते हैं, उसके बाद उसको जो है लिव इन में रखें या शादी का झांसा दें या शादी कर लें, निकाह कर लें, उसके बाद उसको नारकी जीवन जीने के लिए मजबूर करते हैं, और उसके बाद में या तो लड़की खुद आत्महत्या कर जाती है और या फिर उसको मार दिया जाता है। दिस इज द जनरल पैटर्न ऑफ द लव जिहाद। आप देखिए कि राहुल जी ये मैं आपको बताऊं ये एक नहीं दर्जनों केस
ओके 1 सेकंड
मैंने आपको कुछ दृष्टांत बताए थे आपको और इसको आप लग जाए मानो या मत मानो लेकिन दिल्ली में चूंकि कानून नहीं है इसलिए पुलिस नहीं कह सकती कि लग जा रही है
ठीक है ओके सो दैट्स योर क्लेम दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई द पुलिस हैव नॉट गॉन अहेड एंड फाइल्ड केसेस under the forced conversion. I'm not going to use the word love jihad, viewers. You know that I don't use that term. Forced conversion is what is being alleged here. There is no basis for this claim right now. It is only a claim. Anyone can make claims. Let me bring in Sanjay Hegde on this point. Sanjay Hegde, here we have a situation where a whole bunch of people are out there in the courts, lawyers, your own colleagues, some of them, who are using this phrase, which I don't like to use. Secondly, viewers and Mr. Hegde, there is also a demand. Now let's focus on the demand for death. In cases such as these, whatever that means. Now, there are some precedents that I would like to bring to your notice. One is, of course, the Dhananjay precedents, where the Supreme Court upheld the death penalty saying, and this is an important one, justice demands that courts should impose punishment fitting to the crime so that the courts reflect public abhorrence of the crime. The courts must not also keep in view the rights of the criminal, but also the rights of the victim of crime and the society at large while considering imposition of appropriate punishment. Now, if you were to extend this logic of the Supreme Court, then all these people who are making these demands would constitute the will of the public, their wishes. So why should we not act on their wishes and therefore in such cases, whatever they might be, perforce give the death sentence? Would you like to respond to Mr. Vinod Bansal?
No, I am responding to a lot of people who say that if you shout loudly, then you impose a death sentence. That's not how the law works. The law does not work by opinion polls. The law works on the basis of evidence. Then the law has a standard called the rarest of rare cases. In the rarest of rare cases, you look both at the facts of the crime as well as the facts of the criminal. You draw up a balance sheet of aggravating and mitigating circumstances, and then you go to that classic formulation where the lesser punishment is unquestionably foreclosed. In this particular case, I would not rush to judgment. Let the evidence play out. At the end of it, let us see where the balance finally comes down. Today, as far as the facts are concerned, so far which have come out in the public domain, I don't know whether these facts can be proven in court. They were in a relationship. They met on a dating app. They lived together somewhere in Western India. Thereafter, they shifted to Delhi. Shortly after shifting to Delhi and moving into Mehrauli, which is a rather crowded area, the girl died by strangulation. Thereafter, for a period of nearly a month or so, the body was disposed of in various parts. Today, what we have is a statement which is alleged to have been given to the police, which is not admissible in court. The police are, on the basis of the statement, conducting an investigation, trying to corroborate it. They seem to have found some blood stains there. They have sent it to the forensic laboratory to confirm whether it is indeed human blood or any other blood. So this is at too premature a stage to say that it will ultimately end in the death sentence or not end in the death sentence. And as far as my professional brethren are concerned who are shouting in court, etc., etc., they may have their reasons. But at the end of the day, whether it is Aftab or whether it is Ajmal Kasab or anybody else, whoever is facing a trial for a capital offense is entitled to the best defense which the courts can provide. I myself have had, as a prosecutor, I think I've got about 7 death sentences from the Supreme Court. And I was amicus in the Nirbhaya case also. So on the death sentence, my position is rather nuanced. My position is that except in the case of terrorists then be freed by other terrorists, something like a Kasab, I don't think the death sentence is warranted anywhere else.
Let me get former IPS Miss Nirmal Kaur into this. Miss Kaur, where do you stand with regards to the demands that are being made? Sanjay Hegde says that, look, he has a nuanced position. He can't speak for the rest of his colleagues. But in his view, terror cases, yes, but perhaps not in others. Where do you stand on this and the basic claims that are being made? And obviously, the entire sort of religious dimension that is being attributed to this particular case. Do you think that holds, Ms. Kaur?
This public outrage is just a reflection, it's a reaction to the kind of, the barbaric crime that has been committed. Not only the girl has been killed, she's been killed in such a weird way. And, after that, disposing of the body and in such a cool-headed, calculated manner, such a premeditated, cold-blooded murder, and to end such a young life. And, it's very obvious that they were in a very, she was in an abusive relationship, obviously, and she wanted to leave. They say, if you put a frog in boiling water, it will jump off. But if you put a frog in water, in normal water, and you slowly increase the heat, it never jumps off. It will die there. So this is what has happened to her, and she has died there. And I think it's rarest of the rare cases. Maybe being an advocate, he speaks in a diplomatic manner, but it is rarest of the rare cases. I don't think any more gruesome case, that deserves. I think even the terrorists are kinder to people who just shoot them. If you shoot someone, it's much kinder. What he did to Shraddha is much worse, much more cruel, and it is rarest of the rare cases. And I think it deserves, but it is just by saying that it is deserved from media reports, it doesn't mean that first police will have to tie up the crime to this person. Yeah. As of now, I don't know how it has been tied up, and what results they have. And I think also this investigation by the media or investigation in full media view is not too, it doesn't go too well for the police also, for the investigative people also. But considering the outrage on the case, media is following the story, bite by bite, and the religious angle you spoke about. I would say that is, if a girl meets a boy and they fall in love, okay, the whole world loves a lover. I'm all for it. And let them get married, whatever religion they are. If one is from Timbuktu, one is from Shraddha, I don't mind. Nobody minds. No human being minds. But if it is done in an organized manner, as a sustained campaign, over a period, over and over again, I would say that is objectionable. That's highly objectionable. And to think that, like our kafir women, they have to be brought into the fold, or for the considerations of, one has come across documents wherein they say how bringing in one kafir woman is going to change the demography. They are serious, extrapolated geometrical progression by calculations like that. If you're calculating so seriously into the future, say 20 years from now, 30 years now, what is the impact of that girl coming into the Muslim fold? Those kind of calculations, and agencies or terrorist organizations or who give money for this kind of work to boys, I think that is objectionable. Otherwise, falling in love, I'm all for it. May love in the nature increase, but this was not love. Obviously, this is not love. At one point, I heard you use a word like crime of passion. Where is passion in this? He's a cold-blooded, calculating murderer. Passion. He is not capable of any emotion at all. Even if you put a rose flower or a killed child in front of him, you kill a child in front of him, it's not going to affect him. All of you are speaking so much about narco test. I don't think that on such people, from whatever limited I have made out from media reports, narco test is going to be of any use, or any truth serum can bring them out. I have my doubts about that, but I cannot have any final word. It's just my gut feeling that it's not going to help the police much, except if they find solid evidence that ties them up to the crime. And DNA evidence is clinching evidence. That is a very excellent evidence,
So we'll talk about whether evidence can be recovered after such a long time and the feasibility of all of that in just a few moments with you, Ms. Kaur, because you have great experience. But let me just quickly bring in Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary, the question that both Mr. Bansal and Ms. Kaur are raising is of forced conversions. And they say that there is now a lot of evidence. You've had the courts in Kerala, you had the Kerala government rather, talk about this forced conversion. They've used the word that I'm not going to use on this show. The Supreme Court, a short while back, just a few days back, raised the red flag over forced conversion, saying it poses serious threat to national security. And it also said that the centre must do something to bring in a stricter law, which is exactly what Mr. Bansal says they are arguing for in those protests that you can see on your screens. So, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary and Atikur Rahman, maybe I should start with Mr. Atikur Rahman because he's an advocate also. Mr. Rahman, why are we opposing this demand from the likes of Mr. Bansal and Ms. Nirmal Kaur, who also see the pattern here? Why be in denial about forced conversions if one were to believe what the father also said in passing in an interview?
Well, Rahul, I do not find anything serious about people who are demanding that there shouldn't be any laws related to forced conversions. If the government is in a mood or on a platform wherein concession can be built and a very strict law for luring people into conversion or forced conversion, I do not find any organization in India will be opposing it. Point number one. Another important factor to this particular related case is, since it is too sensitive, I would say it is juvenile on the part of the Hindutva forces who are, claiming this love jihad angle. It's a phantom concept to me. It is a phantom concept, Rahul, because, if there is love, there cannot be jihad. Jihad, we know in Indian terms by the Hindutva forces, is being used very loosely. For us, it is a Quranic concept, a very supreme concept, wherein people are demanded from Allah that you need to be careful related to the rights of the others. That's jihad. You need not be selfish. That's jihad. You need to curb your passions. That's jihad. So I do not understand this phantom concept brought in by the Hindutva forces. Third important point, Rahul, is the government of India, if it wishes to have a very harsh law towards these, things, crimes, heinous crimes, crimes of barbarity. And this is not the first case, Rahul, we are discussing. Since 2, 3, 4 years, since Nirbhaya, the things are getting very, very wild with these youngsters in the midst of the social media. I do not find why the government of India is so lethargic. Even as you said, the Supreme Court needs to come.
Because maybe there's lack of consensus, political consensus on this. If one requires a harsher punishment and a law that punishes forced conversions, there might be a lack of consensus, and that's what's holding it back. Let me bring in the Congress. Will the Congress oppose a national level law? You heard what the Supreme Court recently said, that forced conversions pose a massive threat to the nation's security. One requires the centre to act. Would you, representing the Congress party, would the Congress party support such a proposition? If not, why?
Well, Rahul, the context of today's debate, you are taking it into a forced conversion law or something like that. But just permit me some initial moments of my observation of today's debate. Today the Madam Kaur, the former IPS officer, and Mr. Bansal of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, I feel along with millions of Indians that their statement today are very toxic. In fact, why I say this is very toxic. A crime has happened. Nobody, not even the single individual out of the 135 crore Indian population will condone whatever happened in Delhi with the girl. Now the point is that having said that, condemned the incident, the brutality of the murder, but these people like the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and
sir,
others
1 minute,
on the Hindutva side,
Mr. Chaudhary, 1 second, Mr. Chaudhary, 1 second, Mr. Chaudhary, 1 second. Let me just point out a few things. Even a Kerala bishop, Joseph Kalarangat, has mentioned forced conversions. He's of course used the more, the euphemistic term for it, is a war strategy. This is what he has said. Then you have an ex-MLA.
Okay, let me.
Yeah,
okay,
so,
I got your point,
it is not
Rahul.
just some VHP, and Hindu group
what
thing.
is
You also have had in the past certain.
in India.
Huh? Sorry?
It's not only in India.
No, okay, Rahul,
It is in
Rahul, I
Sri
got
Lanka
your point. Let me
Sri
just
Lanka also.
No, but
just
Vinodji,
point out this.
Vinodji, one second, gentlemen,
Rahul,
let's not speak over each other, one second.
India-
But Vinodji, I just want to ask you this question because
Rahul.
you are claiming that there is something like this. One second, Nirmal Kaurji is also claiming this, but the centre, and I'm talking about Junior Home Minister G. Krishan Reddy, he said in his reply in Parliament on February 4th, 2020, that there is no such case in Kerala. This is what the Parliament said. This is what the centre said in
And to add to that, Rahul,
one minute, Mr. Chaudhary, 1 minute.
2.5%
So I'm not understanding
are registered
why does the centre.
religious
1 minute,
conversion in India.
1 minute, Mr. Chaudhary. Just let's clarify these issues. These are important. You have raised an issue. I have brought out how a bishop in Kerala has red flagged this issue. So this is obviously not something that is monopolizing only Hindu groups and their minds. You have had, in fact, even a term that was used by the NIA about forced conversions, and there has been talk that the Kerala High Court had also observed certain things. So, Bansal ji, pehle to ye center ka jara bataiye, why is the center not coming out and saying this? First of all, why is the BJP not then also sending its own representative on this debate if they believe what you believe? So, can you just explain this, number one, and then I'll come back to you, Mr. Chaudhary. I only asked you a simple question, and the question was, will you support a central driven effort to impose a centrally driven law on forced conversion? So you have to answer that question, Mr. Chaudhary. But first, Mr. Bansal, please go ahead.
हाँ राहुल जी, मैं बड़ी ईमानदारी के साथ बड़ा स्पेसिफिक जवाब दूंगा आपको इस बात को। देखिए, जी कृष्ण रेड्डी ने जो स्टेटमेंट दिया था 2020 में, आई डू एग्री विद यू, दिस वाज द स्टेटमेंट गिवन ऑन द फ्लोर ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट। बट अब ये देखिए कि जब तक कानून नहीं बनाओगे, उसको लफ्जियात को डिफाइन नहीं करोगे, तब तक आप उसमें लफ्जियाती की लिस्ट कहां से मिलेगी? गृह मंत्रालय को कैसे पता लगेगा कोई लफ्जियात का कोई केस हुआ है? That's why we are again and again demanding, why the Supreme Court and numerable high courts have demanded for the stricter law for the punishment of all those conversion missionaries.
Okay.
आप देखिए कि ये जो एंटी कन्वर्जन लॉ अगर आप बनाओगे, मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूं। देखिए, I'll show you one example. The law was made in the state of Uttar Pradesh, in 2020, and in the first 10 months of the enactment of the law, yani from 1st of January 2021
there was
to
a
31st October 2021, there were 131 cases, 135 cases, sorry. 135 cases were registered in first 10 months of the enactment of the law, wherein 410 people were accused and 333 were the named accused. And out of this 135, within 10 months of the enactment of the law, 85 केसेस में आरोप पत्र दाखिल कर दिए। 82 बेटियों को 164 के बयान हो गए। और आपको ताज्जुब होगा राहुल, 182 में से 35 वर दी माइनर गर्ल्स।
ओके,
ये जो है ना आंकड़े कब आए? आंकड़े तभी आए, ये लफ्जियात के आंकड़े हैं, ये लफ्जियात एंटी कन्वर्जन के आंकड़े हैं, वो इसलिए आए चूंकि वह कानून बन गया।
ओके,
मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि भारत के अंदर अगर ऐसा कानून बन जाएगा तो डेफिनेटली अगली बार गृह मंत्री ये कहेगा कि देखिए मेरे पास एक नहीं हजारों केसेस हैं।
ठीक है, ओके। सो मिस्टर चौधरी, लेट मी ब्रिंग यू बैक इनटू दिस कन्वर्सेशन। वी टॉक्ड अबाउट कंसेंसस. Someone used that word, consensus. I think it was the political analyst Atikur Rahman Saab who used the word consensus. Now I want to ask you, because V.S. Achyutanandan, when he was Kerala Chief Minister, said that the PFI is also in an organized manner planning to convert Kerala into a Muslim majority state. He said this in 2010, if you remember very clearly. He said they want to turn Kerala into a Muslim majority state in 20 years. They are using money and other inducements to convert people. So talking about strictly forced conversions here. They even marry women from outside their community in order to increase the Muslim population, unquote. So I'm only asking that if tomorrow the father of Shraddha comes out and wants this particular matter to be investigated as some sort of a religious crime, and there is once again a mass outpouring for the demand on the back of what the Supreme Court has also observed for an anti-conversion law, will the Congress come out and back it? Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand have come out with one. In Uttarakhand you opposed it. Will you at the central level also refuse to accept and oppose, or will you work with the government and evolve a consensus? That's my simple question to you, sir.
No, Rahul, you must know how the law of the country works. The conversion law, it cannot be a federal law. It has to be an individual state law. There are 9 states in India that have got anti-conversion law as of now.
Okay.
The point that basically this is out here,
why not
what is the total religious conversion data in India right now? According to my sources, 2.5%.
1 second, Mr. Chaudhary, why has then the Supreme Court asked the centre to act forthwith? In fact, it has sought a response. Why is it asking the centre then?
No,
how should the centre act?
If there is a problem, the Supreme Court will educate. There is no denying the fact.
So you don't want to take a call on it. You say let the Supreme Court adjudicate. Okay, viewers,
what is the data?
These are very complex issues.
The point that I wanted to raise here, Rahul, is
okay, 1 second.
2.5%.
Sir,
2.5% of the religious conversions are happening in India. Inter-religious and inter-caste marriages are happening.
Sir, I am not denying that. We are not talking about, even Ms. Nirmal Kaur is not talking about. Sir, please, she's also been very specific. We don't know, viewers, at this moment, there is nothing to suggest that this is a case. The Shraddha Aftab case is one of love jihad. There's nothing to, the police haven't come out and said that there was a forced conversion issue here, that someone was asking someone to convert and therefore it led to a fight. So right now, that is how the factual position is. There are a few people claiming this. The father, when prompted, said there is a likelihood of it. We have not seen movement on that. So viewers, we can't jump the gun. Right now, as Nirmal Kaur ji has been saying, what we need to establish is whether this individual is linked to this crime. That is the first stage. Maybe we are putting the cart before the horse here. There are people who are already beginning to wonder if this individual is going to walk, because all we have right now is an alleged confession. No one has seen the confession, viewers. No one has seen that it is under 161, let alone 167 of the CRPC. No one has seen even a fragment of the evidence. No one knows, apart from what sources are telling the media. So there is a real concern. Maybe we should be first focusing on ensuring that we have all the forensic evidence. We have the tools of the crime. We have digital forensics. We have recovered to make DNA match parts of the body that have been strewn all over in this ghastly, abominable fashion. Viewers, all of this is the first priority. Coming to the next question, the bigger questions will come to later. But let's at least focus on the investigation. One hopes that the police in the next 5 days can come up with something to convince the courts to extend. They had wanted 10-day custody, they only got 5. Let's hope the police can even build a case to hold this individual for 10 days. For now, viewers, I want to move on. We've had an informed discussion, a heated discussion, but I want to move on to another big story that Times Now has been reporting. Viewers, we have shown you ample evidence that proves beyond doubt that the Leicester riots were not triggered by the Hindus. Hindus in Britain. We have also shown you a report by Henry Jackson Society, a UK think tank, that concludes that there is no evidence of any Hindutva or RSS extremism linked to the violence. Now another US-based network, Contagion Research Institute, or the NCRI, based out of Rutgers University, has compiled a report showing how malicious online narratives, clearly biased against Hindus, led to violence that shook the British city of Leicester this September. using data from YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. The NCRI report details views how influencers spread disinformation that instigated and precipitated violence against predominantly the Hindu community. The report clearly says that discredited Islamists like Majid Freeman, a social media influencer who is an open supporter of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, amplified anti-Hindu narratives using his wide digital footprint, and as an impact, just on Twitter, mentions of Hindu exceeded mentions of Muslims by nearly 40%, and that while Hindus were largely depicted as aggressors and conspirators, mentions of Muslims were depicted as retaliating to this aggression. So they were seen to be victims who were retaliating, even though most evidence indicates that the violence was directed largely towards Hindus. Viewers, this is what has come out. And there were people on this show that told us otherwise. They said that this was all because Hindutva groups were going out there, and they're the ones who were instigating the violence. Now, viewers, let me tell you something else that is going to worry you even more, because there is a global project. There is a global project to build a conspiracy against Hindutva and paint it as an aggressive fascist ideology. In fact, viewers, this is what is being said in this particular report also. Viewers, let me go over the conclusions. It says that given that Britain's current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is a practicing Hindu of Indian origin, understanding and monitoring the networks and online influence involved in the violence of Leicester is urgently needed, as conspiracies about Hindutva dominance are likely to increase dramatically in coming months, and this violence is highly replicable. So viewers, Leicester was a laboratory experiment, and now the Leicester model is going to be used. In fact, there is an individual called Shakil Afsar, a social media influencer, that actually is saying exactly what this report is apprehending. Listen to this, viewers.
Every single one of you witnessed how the Hindutva, BJP, RSS extremist thugs tried to terrorize our brothers and sisters in the city of Leicester. My dear brothers and sisters, this is nothing new. This has been happening for many, many years, and our brothers and sisters in Indian occupied Kashmir and in India have been suffering at the hands of these people for many, many, many years, and will continue to suffer for many, many years if we do not take a stiff stance against these people. There is an event happening in the city of Birmingham. I want each and every single one of you, if you have time, please attend and bring your youth. My dear brothers and sisters, for all of you people who have been robustly challenging the establishment and the oppressors, remember something: it's all well and good us standing up and screaming and standing for our people, but if the next generation do not know their role, if the next generation do not know what they need to do, then it is going to be a damn shame.
There you go, viewers. This is exactly what the report was saying, and as of on cue, this individual is once again floating conspiracies about, he used the word Hindutva, and he linked Hindus to the oppressors, and he now says, come to these meetings and I will and others will inform you about this. So viewers, people like this, and this is in public interest, tell your friends, tell your community members in the UK that there are people like that who are going to poison your mind and say that, oh, Hindutva forces are working to dominate others, and therefore we must all rise up. Viewers, it has all been put out there, and as if on cue, this individual, this malevolent individual, is going out there and deliberately playing to people's insecurities. Worse, viewers, what does this report tell us? Worse, that some of the biggest mainstream media houses, the BBC, the Guardian, the New York Times, did no due diligence by main media outlets on people like Majid Freeman and this absolute malevolent individual. Amplified the voice of a conspiracy theorist, extremist sympathizer, Freeman was a central agitator in the events of Leicester, and he was a key disseminator of malicious narratives. Freeman's narratives were disseminated by a network of groups, and these various so-called great labels of journalism abetted in this. This is very serious, viewers, very serious, and I want to open this up very quickly, and I want to go straight across to Manju Khajuria. Very quickly, ma'am, what do you make of this?
Well, I think, Rahul, both these reports, the Henry Jackson Society report and the NCRI reports, have only vindicated what the victims of violence in Leicester, as well as the British Hindu and the Indian diaspora here, were saying. They were saying that there is no role being played by BJP or RSS as was being fabricated and promoted. They were saying that the social media was being used as a weapon to incite further violence against Hindus. They were also pointing out towards players like Majid Freeman and Mohammed Hijab and Five Pillars, who were going on peddling a narrative, a very malicious narrative.
So you're saying all of that has now been exposed, that it has been completely exposed. Okay, let me bring in very quickly, let me bring in Lokesh Jindal, who's a sympathizer of the Congress, a leader perhaps of the Congress, I'm not sure, but a sympathizer of the Congress party. Mr. Jindal, I know that certain leaders in your party, I think I got that right, you're of the Congress, in your party came out and actually said that there was violence against Hindus because of a Hindutva conspiracy of dominance, and that has been exposed with digital data and investigation by a complete third party, an institute sitting in America. Were you enabling, sir, and are you enabling Hindu phobia? Simple, straightforward question.
First of all, I am ideologically and officially a congressman, so there's no point of me being either a sympathizer or non-sympathizer. Okay. Secondly, when you're talking about this particular issue, I see both this person, Majid Freeman, and the BJP workers as two sides of the same coin.
No. Both 1 second. Lokesh Jindal, you might see it, but the evidence doesn't. So I'm asking you, were you part of a massive cabal that is whipping up Hindu phobia and enabling? I'm asking you, and enabling. Today you have evidence staring in your face and you still not deny?
No. Listen.
Your own
if you look at the functioning, the nature of this ideology, the nature of ideology of BJP, it goes with all forms of jingoism.
This gentleman is going to not even accept proof that India is now coming from a completely independent source.
Hindu nationalism.
Mr. Pandit, what do you make of the steadfast and brazen, 1 second, stand taken by Mr. Jindal in the face now of evidence? Why is he so convinced? Is he totally brainwashed, or is he playing to some sort of a plan? Sushil Pandit.
No, we have a political party or several political parties who would sup with the devil in order to besmirch an ideology, a worldview, even national interest. So they don't have any qualms. Like left is today teaming up with jihad in order to dismantle so-called Hindutva.
Okay, so it's all political, you are saying?
It's not at all
so you're
surprising.
saying it's political, and this is now a
you
fight
had
to the
Congress
death,
teaming up
even
with,
if it means...
It is absolutely.
Okay, so even if it means
visceral,
that there will be collateral damage in the form of riots...
visceral hatred,
and Hindus will be
even while they
targeted.
play politics.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, you're putting Hindus in the harm way, says Mr. Pandit. Quick response.
Political is a mild word for this.
Quick response. 30 seconds.
So we have become the guardians of a different country's population.
I don't know, sir.
Are we?
Let me tell you.
During Nupur Sharma episode,
I don't know, sir. Your leaders have stood. Your leaders have stood with leaders of the Chinese party.
Now,
and people like Xi Jinping, your leaders have MOUs. Your leaders have stood with Labour Party.
We need to have dismantle global Hindutva even in India.
So viewers, you whip up a frenzy about Hindutva, and then the backlash is suffered by ordinary Hindus, and they have no problems throwing you under the bus. Rahul Ishwar, very quickly, sir, there is evidence today.
one question, every phobia is wrong. Can I please ask my Leicester and Congress friends to at least concede and accept that there is something called Hindu phobia? We have seen that many times. But when Hindu phobia comes, they give it an aura of secularism.
Institutionalized Hindu phobia has become one of the hallmarks of pseudo-secularism. It is time we call out. It is time we call out Hindu phobia, because Hindu phobia is I studied in London School of Economics, and please remember, in the West, when the Hindu phobia also combines with racism, it becomes a deadly cocktail of racism against our people. So please remember, it is the responsibility of India and Hindus to call out Hindu phobia and say it is Hindu phobia. Look at the Muslim nations; they always take guard against Islamophobia. Why can't we guard against Hindu phobia?
Viewers, go back to 1888 and you do your research. You will come across a word called pogrom. A hysteria was whipped up against the Jews, and you know what happened. This is evidence tonight, viewers. I haven't made this up. Please have a look at this report, read it. It will chill you to the bone. And then ask yourself if you haven't heard exactly this by enablers in our country. And then ask yourself, viewers, which side they're on and who are they protecting. I leave it to you, viewers. The news are coming up.
there was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you reach a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say?
India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August 2019 to change the internationally recognized disputed status of Jammu and Kashmir.
Tonight, viewers.
The Calcutta High Court has ordered TMC Minister Akhil Giri to submit his statement in the form of an affidavit. The court has also asked the police to submit the inquiry report. Another complaint filed against West Bengal leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari over his controversial tweet. Adhikari claimed that an event at Taj Bengal Hotel was the birthday bash of Abhishek Banerjee's 3-year-old son. Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray chief Uddhav Thackeray and his family paid tribute to Balasaheb Thackeray on his 10th death anniversary at Shivaji Park in Dadar.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेममान
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए ही कल रात की सावन का बनने नहीं देंगे। आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा। आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेममान
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए ही कल रात की सावन का ऑल्सो बिकम। बहुत अच्छी बात है।
आपका क्या विचार है इस बार? आप
मेरा विचार क्या मैं बताऊं? मेरा विचार भगवान के ऊपर है। लॉर्ड कृष्णा विल डू इट।
मैं तो देश की सेवा के लिए ही पैदा हुई हूँ और मैं देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ और क्यों नहीं हमारे मोदी साहब हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी चाय बनाते बनाते प्रधानमंत्री जी पीएम बन सकते हैं तो मैं बॉलीवुड में काम करते करते सीएम क्यों नहीं बन सकती हूँ? डेफिनेटली मैं बनूंगी। आप सबका आशीर्वाद चाहिए। तो 2024 में अब आप मुझे चुनाव लड़ते हुए देखेंगे किसके अपोजिट, ये सरप्राइज है।
Ladies and gentlemen, why are people out on the roads today? Why are people marching and chanting Aftab ko phansi do? This outpouring of anger and outrage against Aftab is because of the spine-chilling details that are tumbling out. Let's deep dive to understand the mind of a monster. Shraddha's murder probe has thrown some startling and shocking details out into the open. Just moments before murdering Shraddha, Aftab took 10 hours to chop the body of his live-in partner Shraddha Valkar into 35 pieces. And in between carrying out this grisly act, Aftab took breaks, drank beer, smoked cigarettes and ordered food on Zomato. The probe details are sickening and I advise viewer discretion because it just might be deeply disturbing to even hear what Aftab did to Shraddha. And right after chopping her body, ladies and gentlemen, he even spoke to her severed head for hours. And then while disposing it, burnt her face so that she shouldn't be recognized. Not just that, after chopping her body into 35 pieces, which he put into a refrigerator, Aftab just sat and watched Netflix. That is the mind of this monster. And this lively and bubbly girl, captured on the lens of a camera, was very happy in the year 2018 before Aftab entered Shraddha's life. She's been seen with her college friends. It was certainly happier times for Shraddha then, as you can see in those pictures. Young, with a bright future ahead of her, a lively young girl. Today, her parents don't even have the body to conduct her last rites. Shraddha's friend reveals how Aftab used to torture her. Listen.
She only mentioned that he used to hit her very badly. That's the thing, she only mentioned it. And that was before 1 year. It's been now 1.5 years. 1 year before this happened. So after that we were not in contact at all.
So Shivani, you are saying 1 year before, 1.5 year before you met her, and from that time he was hitting her. So see how badly.
There was no reason actually. She mentioned that from small things also they used to fight and all. So she didn't mention the proper reason. I didn't ask her. I only told her that if this is the problem, this is the case, you should leave him. Because he wasn't that close to me later on. When she met me after 2 years. And then I couldn't force her to do anything because that was the first meeting after 2 years. So I can't tell her proper ekdam haq se ki do this, do that. I only suggested her that this is not fair. I think you should leave him. And she was like, okay, I'll think about it. I'm thinking about it that I'm gonna leave him, but then he loves me and he always gives me, I'll do suicide and all. He always blackmails me. So I think he'll do that. So I can't leave him.
Okay, blackmailing also. He used to blackmail also.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me,
that was the reason she was not leaving him.
If you see in the news, her body was in the fridge. So what do you really think she mentioned about the drug element that he used to take and did all that?
No. She never mentioned it, but I think he must be doing it.
लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं अब जिस तरह से अभी ये हादसा हुआ, ऐसा लग रहा है कि शायद वो हमें, क्योंकि किसी लोगों को बताइए जो काफ़ी क्लोज थे, लेकिन हम भी थे उस समय, शायद ये गलती हुई कि हमने उसे ज़्यादा कोशिश नहीं किया बातचीत करने की, लेकिन वो अपने रिलेशनशिप को लेकर शायद बताना नहीं चाह रही थी. कहीं ना कहीं ये भी कारण है.
While India is with Shraddha and the protesters have only one demand, listen in to what they have to say.
उसको फांसी दी जाए और जो एविडेंस वो मिटा चुका है और मिटाने की कोशिश कर रहा है, तो माननीय न्यायालय से अनुरोध है कि उस चीज को इग्नोर करते हुए इमीडिएट उसको फांसी दी जाए.
देखने के लिए आए हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि उनकी आत्मा को शांति मिले, लेकिन शांति उस दिन मिलेगी, हमारे हिसाब से शांति उस दिन मिलेगी जिससे उसके कातिल को फांसी होगी. मांग करती हूँ पीएम मोदी जी से, आदरणीय मोदी जी से, कि त्वरित इस पे कार्रवाई की जाए और उसको सजा कड़ी से सजा मिलनी चाहिए। कैंडल मार्च दोबारा ना हो, मेरा अपनी जो हमारी न्याय प्रणाली है उससे आग्रह है कि इस तरह के केसेस को जो लव जिहाद के हैं और जगन्य हत्या का ये जो है उनकी मानसिकता को तुरंत फास्ट कोर्ट पे लाकर उसको तुरंत फांसी की सजा दी।
हिंदुओं के लिए बहुत ही जो है गलत चीज है। हिंदू लड़कियों को फंसाते हैं, उसके बाद प्यार मोहब्बत का नाटक करके उसको काट के फेंक देते हैं। ये लव जिहाद गलत बात है। अगर आप किसी को प्यार करते हैं, प्रेम करते हैं तो उसको स्वीकार करो, लेकिन ये झूठ बोल के हिंदू नाम रख के मुस्लिम हो के लड़कियों को फंसाते हैं और उसके बाद उसको शादी करके काट।
The cops have at least 5 more days to connect the dots. They are banking on the narco test to provide a clue to build a foolproof case against Aftab. And that brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Shraddha, a test case for our justice system? That's the question we're asking. And the hashtag of the debate, India with Shraddha. And the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight, Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate, Nikhat Abbas, lawyer and social activist, Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS officer, Kalimul Hafiz, president of AIMIM in Delhi, advocate Talha Rashakti, is spokesperson of the Rashtriya Ulema Council, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst. But my first question goes to Rajat Shukla, Shraddha's friend. Rajat Shukla, when did you last meet Shraddha, and did she give any hint of a troubled relationship with Aftab?
Well, the last meeting was in 2019 and the signals were to a way that Shraddha was no more the Shraddha that I was with since the 3 years of our college. She was a little different person. Since 2015 I am knowing her, and she was a very jolly, bubbly girl, you know, extrovert, outspoken. She loved to talk, she loved to hang out, meet different people. She was blunt. She had she was very clear of what to choose and what not to choose. You know, this person, when she becomes dull, you know, this kind of a person would definitely get surprised. I mean, I was shockingly surprised to see why this person is now becoming reserved. She was not talking, and the last meeting that I had with her, she was not just reserved, but she was rude. I was shockingly surprised that why is she behaving this way. And a few days later, I got to know that she is in a relationship with this guy Aftab, and then it was known to me that she's already into relationship since 2018 itself, you know, secretly. And you know, days after that, you know, Shraddha had herself revealed that Aftab beats her up. You know, he's too violent, he's abusive. So all those things, you know, started coming up, and you know, it continued. But one question was always there in the mind, and you know, a lot of people have been questioning, you know, in our friend circle as well, you know, till now, that in spite she knowing that it's an abusive relationship, in spite she being that conscious and bold to really understand that this is abusive and she shouldn't be there, she was still continuing. Maybe there was a big blackmailing, and that cannot be just limited to the one that you know, one of my college friend has mentioned on your channel, you know, that, you know, suicide can be one thing. I think there is more to this that is not known to the naked eyes. No, we can't really see. There is something more which is hidden, and I think it should be investigated and should be known to people. Apart from that,
but tell me, Rajat,
I think there is one thing.
You know, you knew she was in a relationship,
Yeah.
and your friend circle knew that this was an abusive relationship. Did you try to get in touch with her? Did the close friends
Yeah.
try to be in touch with her? Because you say you last sort of met her or spoke to her in 2019. Since then, did she just drift apart? Did you ever attempt
Yeah.
to get to her? Did she block you?
So there was one friend of her who was her childhood friend, and because of that you inspired so many, I think the biggest of the biggest influence that Aftab had created. This guy, the childhood friend of Shraddha, still tried and always stayed in touch with Shraddha, and he was the one in 2021 when Shraddha had literally messaged him that, you know, my life is in danger, you know, you please rescue me, or tonight this guy might kill me, you know. So these are few signals that Shraddha gave, and these guys, you know, there were more college friends of mine, you know, they really went to Aftab's place, and you know, they literally told him that, you know, they'll take him to the police. However, Shraddha was the one to stop them, to tell them that please give him a chance, and you know, he was also acting that, you know, he's afraid and he won't be repeating these things. However, he continued doing these things with the progressing time, and in fact it went more deeper, you know. The last that we had known about you know, the relationship and what happens in between was when Shraddha went to one of her female friend and showed her the marks on her back. Those were the cigarette butts marks on you know, her back. So that was really spine chilling for us to understand that, you know, in what kind of a relationship she is. However, this is I don't know what to say about this, that there was something extremely tough for Shraddha to handle about this relationship, some very big hook because of which she was holding on to it, and that's really unknown, and it cannot be love. I can guarantee this. It cannot be love. It cannot be what is being portrayed, that is, you know, she was compelling for marriage and all of that. It cannot be that. There is something more to this, definitely.
Ishkaran Bhandari, there was another hook, says Rajat Shukla. What do you think? I mean, right now the police obviously is looking for clues in the dark. Shraddha died on or was butchered on 18th of May. The man is actually arrested on the 11th of November. In between there's a passage of time, and nobody knows what kind of clues are going to stand up as evidence. And 35 pieces of her body, with a man who's sitting drinking beer while chopping off a body, you know, watching Netflix, ordering food on Zomato, doesn't seem like a normal guy to me. And Rajat Shukla also points out towards some hook he may have had. The question here is, if the Delhi police is banking on a narco test which is not even admissible in a court, do you think the evidence is going to stack up? Do you think the laws in our country are in place, or do you think, you know, this investigation and this matter is going to stretch for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? And today we are angry as a society. Our anger is going to dissipate, our attention is going to get diverted, and justice for Shraddha will be a far cry.
Navika ji, of course there are so many things in this case which do not make sense. That is why the first day it came, I said there should be a deeper, maybe an NIA investigation into this, because please understand, this man, so-called layman, non-professional man, knows how to butcher a body in 35 parts. Experienced criminals cannot dispose of a body as professionally as this man has done. From the blood which he has managed to clean, from the limbs he has thrown in Mehroli jungle, and he is not a Delhi resident, from the face he is burnt and police still has not found the face. Hardcore professional criminals will find it difficult to dispose of a body like this. And today I read an even more shocking thing, that he met almost 20 girls after this. And that has come in a very reputed Hindi newspaper, that 20 और लड़कियों से इसके करीबी रिश्ते थे. How does all this happen that girls come to his house? What was his training? What was his conduct? Was he being trained in certain manner? All that needs to be investigated very, very deeply, because this is not the norm either in personal life that is coming out that he was doing, Shraddha, an educated, confident girl with a good friend circle, he was beating her, as the friend has told us, and still she was taking. What was the reason that he was managing to keep her with him? That needs to be investigated. His manner of disposing of body needs to be investigated. The only silver lining in this entire case is that finally such cases are getting media attention. Delhi ke bahar hota, it is buried under a carpet. Just yesterday, Lucknow, a case happened in which a young girl, 19-year-old girl, was given a phone by this Safiana, wanting her to convert. She refused to convert and he threw her from the balcony or the 4th floor or something like that. So whether this is a similar case or not, I don't know. But at least we are having discussions on a very, very vital issue which was long pending. Please understand, Kerala High Court in 2009 said that there is a problem of love jihad. Now, before people accuse anybody of anything, Kerala police investigation is not by a BJP-controlled government in 2009. Kerala High Court decision has nothing to do with BJP. The protest there was by the Christian community. So, of course, there are many things happening in India which, because of political correctness, which because of social realities, we are not facing or calling out. Only way of justice, not only conviction of this guy, is that at least it should be a very transparent, very open, very deep investigation, so everybody is satisfied that justice has been done.
Well, let me ask this question of Kalimul Hafiz, president of the AIMIM in Delhi. Hafiz Saab, question has been raised by Mr. Ishkaran Bhandari, and there has been a candlelight march where people are questioning why there is so much silence on the killing of Shraddha, a Hindu girl, because and many people are saying, it's not my statement, if this was, a Shazia or a Shaheen, there would have been protests all across, but today people are silent. And is there a pattern that is emerging in a case like this? While I don't want to get into that debate really, but it is public perception which is continuing to grow. Mr. Hafiz, do you think there is some merit in the pattern that is emerging, or do you think it's just a coincidence?
It's not a pattern and not a coincidence. ये सिर्फ एक अपराध है. अभी कल ही सरता विहार में राहुल वर्मा ने गुलशन का मर्डर कर दिया और उसके साथ उसे सरता विहार में मर्डर करके 3 दिन तक लाश भी वहां पे रखी, और फिर उसके बाद एक महीने की 1 साल पुरानी उसकी बच्ची थी, उसको लेकर वो गायब हो गया. सरता विहार पुलिस ने उसको केस रजिस्टर्ड किया है. तो वो राहुल वर्मा वहां पे है, जो मारने वाला है, मरने वाली गुलशन है. मैंने आपको पहले भी कहा है कि चाहे प्रीति शर्मा ने फिरोज का गला काट के उसकी हत्या की हो और उसे सूटकेस में लेकर वो गाजियाबाद रेलवे स्टेशन पर पकड़ी गई हो, चाहे वो अंकिता भंडारी हो, चाहे वो अंकिता झारखंड वाली हो, या हमारी ये बेटी श्रद्धा हो, ये सब एक जघन्य अपराध की श्रेणी में आता है. इसको हमारे समाज को बैठ के ये सोचना चाहिए कि आखिर हमारा समाज किस तरफ जा रहा है. ये न्याय व्यवस्था पे भी एक सवालिया निशान लगाता है कि आखिर हम इस तरह के हत्यारों को एक ऐसी सजा क्यों नहीं देते कि जिससे लोग जुर्म करने से पहले उनकी रूह कांप जाए. क्योंकि देखिए, जो सरकारें हैं उनकी जिम्मेदारी है. जिस तरह से बिल्किस बानो के केस में उसकी 3 साल की बच्ची को पत्थर से उसका सर तोड़ के उसको मार दिया गया और उसे सरकार ने, उसे न्याय व्यवस्था ने सजा भी दी, उसके बाद भी सरकारों ने उसको छोड़ दिया. तो ये सब जो मैसेजिंग हो रही है, ये सब अच्छी नहीं है समाज के लिए. मैं कहता हूं आप
your statement is making hands go up, hands are going up on the panel.
इसी तरीके से धर्म के एंगल से देखना ये बिल्कुल गलत है.
ओके, गलत है. रजत शुक्ला श्रद्धा के दोस्त हैं. he wants to respond to you, Mr. Hafiz. Go ahead, Raja.
I mean, we can clearly see, not just I, me, people here, but anybody and everybody who has known this case and are conscious people and has a little bit sense can understand that this is no normal case. And Aftab is no normal person. The way he has pulled off this murder, the way he had almost cleared off all the evidences is no normal thing. And let me reveal something here that is very important to understand what all angles people are bringing in this and why they are bringing this and why they should actually be brought. Let me tell you something. 15 days before this investigation, and the things were before people, Aftab's parents shifted from their original residence where they were residing for the last 23 years. How do you think that's possible? The way he has pulled off the murder, that is certainly something that a person with a deep training would get. I tell you with I don't know what confidence, but this seems to me like a terrorism angle. Love jihad is a very small thing here. It seems to me that this person is trained by some terrorist organization. And why do I not say this? Is it not visible to people the way he has committed this crime? Why are Aftab's parents, why did they flee? Why are they
important
not
question?
staying in their
रजत शुक्ला कह रहे हैं कि अगर आफ्ताब ने ये किया तो उनको कहीं ना कहीं से हेल्प मिल रही थी। उसके पेरेंट्स कुछ ही दिन पहले, इन्वेस्टिगेशन से कुछ ही दिन पहले अपने 23 साल पुराना घर छोड़कर निकल गए। अनदर कोइंसिडेंस हाफिज साहब?
नहीं, देखिए ये बात बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं शुक्ला साहब, और इसकी एनआईए इन्वेस्टिगेट करे। अगर इसमें कोई आतंकवादी एंगल है तो उसको इन्वेस्टिगेट करे, लेकिन बजाय इसके जब तक हमारे कोई इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी कोई चीज रिवील न करे।
पर आपने ये पहले नहीं कहा। पहले आपका क्या स्टेटमेंट था? पहले आपका क्या स्टेटमेंट था? राहुल वर्मा का और गुलशन का स्टेटमेंट था। अब आप कह रहे हैं एनआईए की इन्वेस्टिगेशन करो क्योंकि रजत शुक्ला ने सवाल उठाए। ईश्वरन भंडारी, रिस्पॉन्ड।
नाविका जी, आपने देखा, जब मैंने अपनी पहली बारी बोला, मैंने कहा इसमें एनआईए इन्वेस्टिगेशन होनी चाहिए। उसके बाद आपने मिस्टर हफीज से पूछा तो उन्होंने पहली चीज क्या कही? नहीं, इसमें कोई रिलीजियस एंगल नहीं है, ये एक हीनियस ऑफेंस है, हीनियस क्राइम है। ऑफ कोर्स सर तन से भी एक हीनियस क्राइम होता है। उस क्राइम के पीछे मोटिव क्या होता है? हम यहां मोटिव्स की बात कर रहे हैं। आपके हिसाब से जो सर तन से कर रहे हैं वो सिर्फ हीनियस क्राइम है या उस क्राइम के पीछे एक रिलीजियस मोटिव भी है? इस केस में क्या है? मेरे से जब पूछा गया, मैंने कहा मुझे इस केस का पता नहीं, पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रही है, पर लव जिहाद के ऊपर यूपी में कन्विक्शन भी हो चुकी है, केरला हाईकोर्ट बोल भी चुका है। तो आप उसको जब सिरे से खारिज करते हैं, यही कॉन्स्पिरेसी ऑफ साइलेंस है, जहां पे आप सोशल मीडिया में एक कॉन्स्पिरेसी बना देते हैं कि किस दिशा में पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेट कर सकती है, किस दिशा में नहीं कर सकती। एक मिनट मुझे बोलने दीजिए, खत्म करने दीजिए। पुलिस का जब वर्जन आएगा, हो सकता है ये कंप्लीट लव जिहाद का केस हो सकता है ये सिर्फ क्राइम का केस हो सकता है ये टेररिज्म का केस हो। यहां बैठ के जो आप खारिज करते हैं कि सिर्फ यही ऑप्शन एक हो सकती है, जबकि रियलिटी क्या है? केरला हाईकोर्ट लव जिहाद की बात कर चुका है और यूपी के कोर्ट्स एविडेंस के बाद, क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन के बाद लव जिहाद पे कन्विक्ट कर चुके हैं। उन रियलिटी से अब आप पर्दा नहीं फेर।
हाफिज साहब, जब आप खारिज करते हैं, व्हेन यू डिसमिस दिस थ्योरी कंप्लीटली, यू आर नॉट इवन रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट इट एज एन ऑप्शन, दैट्स व्हेन पीपल बिगिन टू आस्क क्वेश्चंस।
लेकिन मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं, मैंने आपको कल का केस बताया और दिल्ली का केस है और सरताविहार पुलिस स्टेशन का केस है, राहुल वर्मा ने गुलशन का मर्डर किया है। अब इसको मैं कहूं कौन सा लव जिहाद बोलूं इसको मैं? देखिए, आप लोग अपनी मर्जी से जो मनगढ़ंत कहानियां बता करके समाज का सौहार्द बिगाड़ रहे हैं। खुदा के वास्ते, देश के वास्ते इससे बचिए। अपराध को, अपराधी को अपराधी मानिए, उसको सख्त
क्या है? अपराध है या रिलीजियस मोटिव का अपराध है?
अपराध करने से पहले रूह कांप जाए, लेकिन जो बिना वजह के आप एंगल ढूंढ रहे हैं, अगर इन्वेस्टिगेशन एजेंसी कुछ
10 सेकंड का सवाल, 10 सेकंड का सवाल, सर तन से आप जवाब दे दीजिए।
इससे बचिए, इससे आपको फायदा क्या होना?
क्राइम है
कुछ
या क्राइम विद रिलीजियस मोटिव है आपके हिसाब से?
काम कर रहे हैं,
आप जवाब दे दीजिए, आप भाग नहीं पाएंगे इस सवाल।
हाफिज साहब, सीधा सा सवाल, आप इमोशनल ना हो, आप इमोशनल ना हो। हम कतई नहीं कह रहे कि ये कंक्लूसिवली लव जिहाद है या टेरर है या क्राइम है। हम कह रहे हैं तीनों ऑप्शंस में से कुछ भी हो सकता है। आप इमोशनल हो रहे हैं, लेकिन ईश्वरन भंडारी ने आपसे सवाल पूछा है कि जब नारे लगते हैं सर तन से जुदा हो, वो क्या होता है?
नारे नहीं, सर जुदा भी होते हैं तन से।
वो वही होता है। नहीं, मैं जवाब, वो वही होता है जब जंतर मंतर पे ये कहा जाता है मोहल्ले काटे जाएंगे, राम राम चिल्लाएंगे, ये वही होता है। उसको बताइए किरण जी, वो कहां से सीख कर आते हैं? मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, जो नारे
well, 1 minute. Let's not go in that direction. Let's not go in that direction. 1 minute. Ishkaran Bhandari and Mr. Hafiz. Let's just calm down. We are talking about Shraddha here. Shraddha Valkar, whose body was cut into 35 people. Let's not go anywhere other than this case today. And Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, I want to ask you this question. The whole case will rest on the evidence that is got and the manner in which this man called Aftab has virtually done this. You've been a police officer for such a long time. What do you think? Is this pre-planned? Is this cold-blooded? Can this be done alone? Were there accomplices in this? Can somebody actually sit and plan this out? And what is the connection? 20 girlfriends after the murder. Can this be a modus operandi? This guy was befriended on a dating website. Were there other girls who have faced similar things with him? He couldn't have become an abuser, putting cigarette butts on Shraddha's back and not have done this to somebody else. How are we going to know the details, and can the Delhi police get enough evidence in record time? Because the anger in the society today is, will investigation really reach the logical conclusion, considering that the Delhi police seems to be groping in the dark for now?
A lot of questions, Navika, so give me some time to respond to each one of them. I'm glad you've come back focusing on the case as such. First point regarding the investigation. There are three very, very critical issues in this. One is the overwhelming circumstantial evidence. Second is the criminal intent, and you've already, talked about it, how he tried to sort of obliterate every kind of evidence. And third is, of course, the hard evidence which you get through the forensics. Now, it's true that Delhi police has a tough case on hand. It has not recovered the skull. It has not recovered the machete. And there are, things to be linked up. That is the electronic evidence with the circumstantial evidence, with the mens rea, and finally the hardcore evidence. Now, the question is that the investigation is ongoing. There are 5 days. You talked about narco test. Narco test may not be admissible with the Supreme Court, but you realize in Kasab case, we got a lot of details through his narco test, which helped in, connecting the threads of the investigation and finally charge sheeting the case. So that is what the Delhi police is expecting in this particular case. Number 2, about the investigation. It's true that this man has tried to, obliterate every kind of evidence. But no matter how much a criminal tries to wipe out all the evidence, there are traces still left in the crevices, in the carpets, like, there was blood found on the table. There'll be some other things, in the hose pipes, in the other places. And therefore, I'm sure that the DNA mapping which will be done will be the hard clinching evidence which one will get.
Mr. Azad, one very crucial point that I want to bring to your notice is the lapse of time. We don't know how much time had lapsed between the butchering of the body and the arrest of Aftab, and therefore how much of this evidence could have been compromised, number 1. And number 2, the skull hasn't been found. The face, we understand, was burnt so that she was unrecognizable. The man has even sold his phone on OLX, and the fact that the parents have shifted. Do you think all of this is connected, and it's not just one criminal we are looking at, it's a larger plot that we are looking at?
Not yet. As far as the DNA sampling goes, after 35 years, even the remains of so many years back, the DNA samples can be traced and they can be matched. So that's number 1, and that's going to be very hard clinching evidence. On the other point, Navika, and you also asked the gentleman friend who's speaking volumes about the case, and he had met her last in 2019. I'm really surprised that now that he's talking so much, why didn't even one of the friends, when they realized that she was in such an abusive relationship, getting, cigarette butts on her skin and things like that, why didn't they go to her place and rescue her? It often happens that the women in such cases, because of whatever blackmail, they are not able to come out of the relationships. But if, a drumming would have taken place, some NGO women would have taken up the case, they have shouted about it, then this incident won't have happened. So I think this is a very, very important lesson.
Rajat, you want to respond to that? Tessin, I'm coming to you. Rajat, you want to respond to that? Why did you drop off the map? Why did Shraddha drop off the friend's map? Why were you not in touch with her?
It is very easy for anybody to really blame me or anybody who is here, talking about these things. Sadly, people, we have been, so I had mentioned earlier as well, we always stood by Shraddha, even during the college days when, we were there together for a lot of things. We studied together, we were there in theatres. So how would it be possible if she's suffering and we won't be affected? We would be definitely. But Aftab had created boundaries of that sort that, Shraddha herself voluntarily had chosen to distance herself from a lot of friends. And in that very situation, we can't really force somebody to take actions that we feel is right. We had, however, tried and suggested her what to do and what not. We had also, in a way, almost we would have taken Aftab to police. But then it was Shraddha to stop us. We have to understand this and now investigate.
Okay.
Not just
all
friends,
right.
if it were
Not
just me or anybody else.
Shraddha herself was rejecting help from her friends, could the friends have done more is a question that hangs there. Tessin, where do you stand on the manner in which this case is proceeding?
I have a lot of respect for Mr. Azad. He served our country and he served the police force very, very well. But unfortunately, the Delhi police at the moment does not have a watertight case, and I have to break this. Look, I'm coming from a position where I want justice for Shraddha. I want Aftab, the accused, to get maximum punishment. Is the evidence at the moment for maximum punishment? No. Will Aftab be convicted? Yes, with this evidence they have. Maximum punishment? No, and that's what we want. Now allow me to tell you why I say so. Because at the moment, Delhi police investigation is absolutely not professional by putting everything out. There are 3 or 4 things I need to put out here. Number one, they don't have the confession under 161 is quite meaningless in law. You know this, Navika ji, Azad ji knows this, so does Ishkaran. Now the courts cannot force you to do a narco test. Yes, you may, it'll give you directions, but the court cannot force you. The minute Aftab has a half good lawyer, he's going to withdraw his confession, and so is he going to refuse the narco test. Point number 2, the 35 pieces of body parts of Shraddha, very unfortunately found in Aftab's fridge or in the jungle, etc. He's going to take a U-turn and say, look, this was planted on me by the police. Even though the police may have certain evidences to show on video that this was found through him, he's going to take a U-turn and he's going to say, I have not led them to it. They've actually planted this on me because they wanted to solve the case. Point number 3. So Mr. Azad is actually right. The forensic evidence under section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act will be the clencher. DNA is not easily, you cannot get rid of DNA evidences. This will have to come along with a time-wrapped sequence of what was the intention of Aftab, how he managed to do this, and an entire sequence without being leaked to the media, without any external affairs, will have to be recreated to get a watertight case. Because remember, the defense only has to create reasonable doubt. It is the prosecution that has to prove beyond reasonable doubt for maximum punishment.
We've all seen the Supreme Court letting go the Chawla in the Chawla case. After a death sentence, the review has allowed allowed the accused to walk free. Are we going to once again see that happen? Because
you'll get a conviction
because Aftab is changing his statements, and nobody has answered.
High Court and Supreme Court.
Nobody has answered the question on why the parents coincidentally moved away from their house.
Yes, that's very important.
Isn't that an important?
One last point. Just one last point. No, that they'll have to collaborate that with the evidence they have, and they'll have to prove it. But I have one last point. When you are a participant to a crime, when you know that somebody is being physically abused, when you know that her back is being burnt by cigarettes, and you come on national television and said, "Oh, I stand by the girl, but I did not take action," you are party to the crime. I hope that if I ever have children, hypothetically, they don't have friends who stay party to the crime and then turn around and say, "Oh, but we didn't know, we just stood by her, we tried our best." I am sorry. That makes you a criminal as well. You should stand up and protect the people. Even if the person, the victim, says no, it is your legal, constitutional, moralistic duty to go to the police and stand up. You cannot hide under the fact, as a friend, I wanted the best for her, but I didn't do it. That makes you party to the crime.
Rajat, that's an important point. If she was being abused with cigarette butts on her back, merely trying to go and then she turning you away, was it enough, or should you have filed an FIR in the police station regardless, just for the safety of Shraddha?
We need to understand one thing here. It's not some normal murder case, it's a very severe murder case. All the friends in the year 2021 who had been to Aftab's place, none of them are on television today. I last met Shraddha in the year 2019, and I think I was loud and clear, but I don't know why this gentleman was unable to hear about that. Today I am speaking on behalf to seek justice. If today I stop, I think for more 2 days this news will be there, and then everybody would shut. They'll have other news to talk about. Do you think I should really stop talking? Just because
certainly
the last
not. At least
communication
he
that
has
I
the
had
guts to come and speak, Ishkaran. You can't wish that away.
Two points I would like to make. First, I would like to compliment Tehseen. He's built a very decent defense counsel's case, if a defense counsel was defending this. But let us do the serious thing. The part I don't agree with Tehseen is when he tries to shame the witness. Somebody who's come forward to speak, we all have a natural inclination not to get into anybody's fight, especially in college. These are young people. In college, kisi ke pachde mein kaun padta hai is a thing which happens enough times in life, especially as he says, and there is no reason to disbelieve him, that Shraddha herself stopped him, or she did not want her friends to get involved. It is with time, with experience, yes, you should have gone and done an FIR, but let us understand the context there. But the more important thing, which is the more important thing which I would want to speak here, is this: as the investigation stands right now, I do believe Delhi Police is a very professional investigative agency and will do justice in this case. And if not, Navika, you are doing the show.
It's a hope we all carry, and hope and faith were also written on Aftab's arm. That's what he described. But Nikhat Abbas, I want to ask you, once again, I come back to the question, are there more people involved? Was somebody backing Aftab? And if Rajat is pointing out to some plot which is beyond just a murder, what is he hinting at, and are we ignoring that point?
Absolutely, Navika. We are absolutely ignoring this fact that this has a root cause which has started from the childhood. I'm talking here about the mentality of the people which is being carried by a specific community. Again, we can be modest enough by not talking about that community. We can have our own restrictions to not speak on the national television on a very prime debate about that topic. But the reality is that it is coming from that. Why are we saying only the maximum cases are coming from that community? Why? It is about the mentality. The children there are being taught that you should not watch television because it's haram, wherein they should be taught that this is not something which you should be doing because this can kill somebody. That's exactly what's happening right now. We are misguiding people. We're misleading the subjects we need to really talk about right now. My friend Tehseen has just spoken about Rajat. Let me just put out there, my friend, he has at least right now, he's been talking about that. That's exactly what we need. I agree that he should have spoken much before, but the reality is that he can tell us better that probably why Shraddha did not want to speak about it. Was there something else involved? We need to get into the root cause to why were the 20 girls involved in it? Why were the 20 girls coming in? Why was this boy dating 20 girls? We need to investigate the matter and ask these girls, and we should also see what community are they coming from. It is only one community, is that being targeted? Do we see amongst the 20 girls not even a single coincidence, like the president of AIMIM said, that not even a single coincidence that the girl from the same community would have been dated by Aftab? It's all a bubble.
Okay,
we're living in a bubble right now. By
important point, and Advocate Talha Rashidi, I want to ask
the pattern is being made, and
in the 20 girls that are mentioned, Nighat Abbas says, isn't it an important point to see कि ये सारी लड़कियां कहां से थी, कौन सी community से थी? I think she's alluding to the point which are also part of the protest, that is a certain religion, a certain community being targeted. Do we have any pattern that is emerging is a question. Of course, the AIMIM Delhi president says no, that unnecessarily this is being politicized, but where do you stand?
Navika ji, it's very unfortunate that such a gruesome crime is being used by political and communal vultures to gauge political mileage and their communal mileage, and they are trying to mislead the direction of the investigation. These right-wing bigots and these wannabe prejudiced Sherlock Holmes sitting on media channels are trying to mislead the investigation instead of focusing on the investigation, instead of questioning the Mumbai police and Delhi police why it took 6 months for them to discover the story.
We are questioning that, but we are also questioning why have the parents suddenly gone missing, and why has the police not been able to trace the parents so far? Is this a larger conspiracy? It's a natural question.
I have been silent for half an hour. Okay, let me complete, then you can rebut me. I have been sitting here silent for half an hour. Let me complete my statement itself. Why we don't even know to which community, to which religion does Aftab belong. We don't know, but these right-wing bigots, these prejudiced Sherlock Holmes sitting on media channels are trying to lead this investigation on a different angle, on a communal angle, on a religious note. What is love jihad?
Navika, allow me to come in, please.
Rajesh Gupta of Delhi killed his wife and cut her into 70 pieces. What jihad was that? No one is questioning that. To which religion does Aftab belong? No one knows that, but this is being deliberately being used to target a community, to target a religion, to demonize a community in India, but no one is interested in trying and getting justice to Shraddha, to her painful family. No
Aftab is being questioned whether he actually is from one community and whether his name actually depicts his community or not. Even that question is being raised on the Newshour tonight. Well, I don't know. Aftab had a handle, a social media handle that is out, where he wrote faith and hope. Yes, maybe we are assuming that Aftab is the right name, and that is what is giving his religion away. But should we really wait and watch? We are angry as a society today that a man could actually befriend a girl, keep her as a live-in partner, and then so mercilessly kill her, abuse her with cigarettes, and then kill her and chop her body into 35 parts that were distributed across the city. And the question is that he can actually order from Zomato, drink beer, watch Netflix while he is doing that. That really takes a certain mindset to do a crime like this. Is there more to this murder? Are there more people involved? Is there a conspiracy that runs wider? Have the parents been found yet? Why not after 5 days? And has the investigation and the coordination between Delhi police and Mumbai police been so slow and obnoxious that today people of India believe, absolutely clueless on whether or not Shraddha will get justice? Well, we'll keep fighting for it. Shraddha will not be forgotten. But can we keep the pressure on? Will we forget and divert our attention somewhere else in just a bit. It's a fear that lives on in our minds. Thank you very much to our panelists for joining me on the Newshour debate number 1. On the other side, ladies and gentlemen, the Congress has crossed all limits when it comes to offending Hindu sentiments. Rahul Gandhi went on with his visceral hatred for Hindutva icon Veer Savarkar. The freedom fighter was once again belittled by the Congress member of parliament, citing letters of Savarkar. He called him the obedient servant of the Britishers. This comes after a volley of hateful remarks made against Hindus by the Gandhi loyalists, including Satish Jarkiholi. Even the allies find it hard to digest Congress's hatred towards Savarkar. Listen in.
ये सावरकर जी की चिट्ठी है जिसमें उन्होंने अंग्रेजों को लिखा है और मैं सिर्फ आखिरी लाइन पढ़ना चाहता हूं। अंग्रेजी में लिखी है तो मैं अंग्रेजी में बोल देता हूं। आई बेग टू रिमेन सर योर मोस्ट ओबीडियंट सर्वेंट वी सावरकर। ये मैंने नहीं लिखा, ये सावरकर जी ने लिखा है, तो इसको आप पढ़ लीजिए, देख लीजिए। अगर फडणवीस जी देखना चाहते हैं इसको वो भी देख लें। तो मैं तो इसमें बहुत क्लियर हूं, सावरकर जी ने अंग्रेजों की मदद की।
कि आदरणीय स्वतंत्रवीर सावरकर, उनके बारे में हमारे मन में दिल में श्रद्धा और प्रेम है, निष्ठा है। वो ऐसी जाएगी नहीं, जाने वाली नहीं, और कोई भी कितना भी प्रयत्न करे तो उसको हम हटाने नहीं देंगे। लेकिन साथ ही साथ जिन लोगों का स्वातंत्र संग्राम जाने ना 75 साल पूरे हो गए, उससे पहले जो भी हमें सवाल कर रहे हैं उनका योगदान क्या है स्वतंत्रता के लिए, क्या उनके कितने लोग अंदर गए थे, जेल में गए थे, और कितने लोगों ने बलिदान किया है। जिनका कोई योगदान नहीं रहा, ऐसे लोगों को अधिकार नहीं स्वतंत्रवीर सावरकर के बारे में हमें सवाल पूछने का।
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate, Shehzad Poonawala, Ishkaran Bhandari, Tehseen continues to be with us, and Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, also joining me. But before I move on to the debate, I also want to tell you, not just Veer Savarkar, Kamal Nath, the former chief minister of Madhya Pradesh, also on his birthday, actually cut a cake which had a temple with a saffron flag and Hanumanji, a cake that was cut. Once again, which is becoming a big controversy that is going viral on social media. And I want to ask Tehseen Poonawala. Tehseen Poonawala, between Mr. Rahul Gandhi as well as Kamal Nath, Jarkiholi, there is a pattern that goes on and on and on, Tehseen Poonawala. From Madhya Pradesh, Kamal Nath, to Rahul Gandhi on Savarkar, Jarkiholi. Is it just a coincidence that all the Hindu hatred from the Congress party just keeps pouring out day after day after day? Tehseen? Can you hear me? Well, Shehzad, is it a coincidence?
नाविका, ये संयोग नहीं, ये वोट बैंक का सबसे पुराना प्रयोग और सबसे घिनौना उद्योग है। और इसीलिए आज देखिए किस प्रकार से, लुक एट द मैनर इन विच द कांग्रेस पार्टी कट्स अ केक विद अ मंदिर डिजाइन केक एंड इट हैज हनुमान जी ऑन इट। फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, विल द कांग्रेस एवर, विल सोनिया गांधी एवर कट द केक विच हैज से द डेटीज और द मोस्ट रिवर्ड फिगर्स ऑफ द क्रिश्चियन फेथ? Will Rahul Gandhi ever cut a cake which has the most revered deities or the most revered figure of Islam? No, they will not. But this is the long इतिहास of the Congress to do Hindu आस्था पर चोट, क्योंकि चाहिए वोट बैंक का वोट. You know what has happened, Navika, in the last few days? Gopal Italia and Rajinder Pal are overtaking them in becoming the biggest तुष्टिकरण का भाईजान, क्योंकि चलानी है वोट बैंक की दुकान. So therefore Congress said कि अभी हमें करना है हिंदुओं का अपमान, and therefore from Jarkiholi to Shivraj Patil, from Hindutva is equal to ISIS to Hindu terror to saffron and terror to saying Ramji does not exist to also the question that they have opposed Ram Mandir itself. Now I know Tehseen Poonawalla will come up and say that this person made this statement, that person made that statement. All of those statements were made when those people were either in the Congress or Congress supported parties. But I have one simple question to Tehseen Poonawalla. Will Rahul Gandhi ever cut a cake which has the figure of the most revered person or the most revered deity in Christianity? Will he ever do that? No. Then why would you do that with the Hindu faith? And this is a pattern. So he must answer about this pattern.
Tehseen, Savarkar or cutting a cake with Hanuman, all of this doesn't seem to be a coincidence. And Jarkiholi, no action, no statement, making all kinds of statements about Hindus. Does the Congress only believe in vote bank politics and cares nothing for the Hindus? And when it needs the Hindus, wears a Janeu on top of a Bandgala?
Okay, so two things. You spoke about the Congress leader in Karnataka making statements that, in my opinion, were not worthy to be made and were actually communal, and I agree with that. What about Mahesh Sharma, who said on the floor of Parliament, Ma Sita has no is a mythological figure?
You were preempted by Shehzad, who said that will be the argument. So you are a predictable debater. Tell me, is it a coincidence that Rahul Gandhi talks about Savarkar and Kamalnath cuts a cake with Hanuman on the same day or within 48 hours of
Savarkar is not Savarkar is not some icon for all Hindus. If BJP is an icon for BJP, that's great. He's not an icon for all Hindus for sure. Number two, it is the Congress that released the stamp on Savarkar before the files were opened. And when the files of Savarkar were opened, which are today there, you came to know what he's done. I'm just going to ask one question and end it on Savarkar because I don't want to go into the details. Where did the gun come to murder Mahatma Gandhi? I can go into these details. You know what happened after the
Ishkaran Bhandari.
After Gandhi's
is it a pattern?
Tehseen has lied. Navika, Tehseen has just made a lie.
Yeah.
Navika, just 1 second. Tehseen's lies have no measure. By the way, Indira Gandhi issued a letter saying that he was the most remarkable son of India in 1980, and the stamp was issued in 1970. Which files were missing about Savarkar?
And then the files opened.
I said 1980 they were disclosed. What kind of lies is this? What kind of, which lies? One second, which files? 1 second, Ramika.
The files that were opened showed what he did. He conspired against our country.
Don't interrupt. Tehseen, please don't interrupt. Tehseen, please don't interrupt. Don't interrupt.
Okay.
Let me make my point. The Maharashtra State Board was run by the Maharashtra government of Congress Party, which declared Savarkar ji as Veer. And that was till 2005 when they had a government, till 2014 they had a government there. What files were declared after 1980 and after that you realize Savarkar was not Veer?
I'll answer that.
Actually a coward. What kind of argument?
I'll answer that quickly.
I'll just answer that. Tehseen, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Tehseen.
One line I'll answer that. One line. Just one line answer.
Yeah.
10 seconds. Yes, right. It's right. Savarkar ji was called Veer until the books came out, and the book that called him Veer for the first time by Chitragupta was Savarkar himself, who wrote a book where he called himself Veer. That also came out late.
Oh, and you believed it. And you believed it for years and then changed your mind because that ideology did not suit you and you wanted some other votes. Ishkaran Bhandari, 30 seconds. I'm running out of time.
Yeah. Navika ji, not everybody gives themselves the Bharat Ratan, as Nehru or Indira Gandhi did. And because it's 30 seconds, I will only say Veer Savarkar deserves a Bharat Ratan. Let's end the debate.
Well, Ashutosh Mishra, I'm really sorry, completely out of time, but 10 seconds.
No, what's happening here is that Bharat Jodo Yatra is entering MP, and they have seen how Rahul Gandhi is being seated. So now they have to create this controversy. The only crime that Kamalnath committed was that a devout Bhakt had bought a temple. And he, not to hurt the supporter, cut it. But he did communal angle.
You don't want to hurt the voter. You don't want to hurt the worker, but you can hurt an entire population of 80% of a country. Well, very well said, very well argued, Ashutosh. I think a Bharat Ratna is in order for you as well, if that's the argument that you can give. But really, ladies and gentlemen, the Congress party, does it really need to rethink on how sensitivities can be inculcated, considering they call themselves such a secular party? It's a question I leave for the Congress party to answer itself. Thank you very much for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night. Be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
there was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you've reached a stage where you say an internet.
You're watching the News Hour at 9.
The Calcutta High Court has ordered TMC Minister Akhil Giri to submit his statement in the form of an affidavit. The court has also asked the police to submit the inquiry report. Another complaint filed against West Bengal leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari over his controversial tweet. Adhikari claimed that an event at Taj Bengal Hotel was the birthday bash of Abhishek Banerjee's 3-year-old son. Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray chief Uddhav Thackeray and his family paid tribute to Balasaheb Thackeray on his 10th death anniversary at Shivaji Park in Dadar.
You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेमा मालिनी
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी राधे राधे। कल राखी सावंत का फिल्म जाएंगे। He will also become. सांसद बनना चाहेंगे।
Good evening and welcome. You are watching the News Hour Agenda. I am Padmaja Joshi. We made our way to Rajkot and we will get you the very latest from what's happening in Gujarat in exactly 25 minutes from now. But right now we are talking about another fresh debate which has been kick-started in Gujarat, in Maharashtra and all parts of the country by Rahul Gandhi. Earlier, he had paid tribute to freedom fighter Veer Munda, the tribal freedom fighter, and he had at that point made a comparison with Veer Savarkar, saying that while we worship the ideology and the patriotism of the likes of Veer Munda, it is the BJP and RSS who believe in people like Veer Savarkar. Today, he reiterated that charge in Maharashtra and even quoted from a letter to say that Veer Savarkar, while writing to the British, had said, "I remain your most obedient servant," which according to the former Congress president means that Mr. Savarkar had literally made himself a knocker of the British. Listen in first.
ये सावरकर जी की चिट्ठी है जिसमें उन्होंने अंग्रेज़ों को लिखा है और मैं सिर्फ आखिरी लाइन पढ़ना चाहता हूँ। अंग्रेज़ी में लिखी है तो मैं अंग्रेज़ी में बोल देता हूँ। I beg to remain, sir, your most obedient servant. V.D. सावरकर। ये मैंने नहीं लिखा, ये सावरकर जी ने लिखा है। तो इसको आप पढ़ लीजिए, देख लीजिए। अगर फडणवीस जी देखना चाहते हैं इसको, वो भी देख लें। तो मैं तो इसमें बहुत क्लियर हूं, सावरकर जी ने अंग्रेजों की मदद की थी।
Now, all the historical inaccuracies or whether this is factual or not aside, what these comments have done is put into a very, very hot soup the Hindutva ally of the Congress in Maharashtra, the Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Shiv Sena. Why? Because Uddhav Thackeray has repeatedly said that he respects Veer Savarkar, that they want the Bharat Ratna for him, but yet his son and former Maharashtra minister Aaditya Thackeray just a few days ago walked hand in hand with the same Rahul Gandhi declaring that he is doing it for the constitution and for Indian democracy. So is the Shiv Sena then trying to save democracy by holding the hand of those who denigrate Savarkar?
कि आदरणीय स्वतंत्रवीर सावरकर, उनके बारे में हमारे मन में, दिल में श्रद्धा और प्रेम है, निष्ठा है। वो ऐसी जाएगी नहीं, जाने वाली नहीं, और कोई भी कितना भी प्रयत्न करे तो उसको हम हटने नहीं देंगे। लेकिन साथ ही साथ जिन लोगों का स्वातंत्र संग्राम जाने ना 75 साल पूरे हो गए, उसके पहले जो भी हमें सवाल कर रहे हैं उनका योगदान क्या है स्वतंत्रता के लिए, क्या उनके कितने लोग अंदर गए थे, जेल में गए थे, और कितने लोगों ने बलिदान किया है, जिनका कोई योगदान नहीं रहा, ऐसे लोगों को अधिकार नहीं स्वातंत्र्यवीर सावरकर के बारे में हमें सवाल पूछने का.
पण मला अतिशय वाईट एका गोष्टीचं वाटतं की स्वातंत्र्यवीर सावरकरांच्या बद्दल जो जाज्वल्य अभिमान बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंना होता आणि ज्यावेळी कोणीही सावरकरांच्या विरुद्ध एक शब्दही बोलला तर त्याला चपकल अशा प्रकारचं उत्तरही मिळत होतं, ते कृतीतूनही मिळत होतं.
आणि त्यानंतर तो एकमेव हिंदू सम्राट हे बाळासाहेब ठाकरे. हे रोज आम्हाला सांगण्याची गरज नाही. तुम्हाला असं वाटत असेल तर पहा, वीर सावरकरांचा विषय आहे. द्या ना भारतरत्न. अडवलं कोणी तुम्हाला? आम्ही मागणी करतोय, हिंदू हृदय सम्राट स्वातंत्र्यवीर सावरकरांना भारतरत्न द्यायला हवा. का दिला जात नाही? इतकंच कशाला? हिंदू हृदय सम्राटांविषयी आपल्याला इतकंच प्रेम आहे तर बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंनाही सावरकरांच्या बरोबरीने भारतरत्न मिळाला पाहिजे.
आने वाले भविष्य में यदि आपने सावरकर जी के बारे में अपमानजनक भाषा का प्रयोग किया तो सावरकर भक्तों को आप यदि उकसाओगे तो आपकी यात्रा का स्वागत कोई अन्य तरीके से करना होगा.
Which leads us to a big question. With repeatedly historical documents being produced by the Congress to make such claims, are these historical facts which the right wing, the BJP, the RSS simply cannot shrug off about Veer Savarkar? Is the Shiv Sena trying to generationally, from Uddhav Thackeray to Aaditya Thackeray, trying to slowly distance itself from the legacy and the issue of Savarkar? And if not, then are they really trying to run with the Hindutva hair and still hunt with the Congress hound?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us now on the debate, we have Professor Rakesh Sinha, who is a member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha. We have Uday Mahurkar, author, joining us, along with Yogi Gade, leader of the Shiv Sena. Dr. Suman Siraman, political analyst. We also have Ranjit Savarkar, grandson of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, with us. But Dr. Suman Siraman, I want to first start by asking you, really, I remain your most obedient servant translates to मैं आपका नौकर हूँ?
Look, I remain your most obedient servant. Forget the servant part. I remain most obedient. That is the operative part. Somebody who says, I remain obedient to the British, somebody who got pension from the British, somebody who wrote...
So before we decide the operative part, just according to you, what does this translate to? It translates to, I want to be your servant. मैं आपका नौकर हूँ, because that was literally what it was translated to.
No.
And what we have been told through the day.
It means I will remain faithful to you. I will be obedient to you. I will be subservient to you. I will not go against your wishes. That is what it means. And I thought that it is very simple and not too difficult a phrase to understand. When you say I remain your obedient servant,
it isn't actually. It isn't. But sometimes one gets confused because here's what happens. When we were in school, we were taught this very archaic letter writing, and we were told to write all sorts of silly things which generally sensible people would not write. Let's. What could it mean? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in asking that. So let me quote to you another letter which was written on the 22nd of June. Dr. Suman Siraman, hold on a second. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm accusing nobody of nothing. What I am doing actually is reading out to you a letter which was written on the 22nd of June 1920. Hold on a second. I am saying nothing. I am not saying that at all. I am saying in letter writing, I for one was taught to write some very silly thing which was very archaic and made no sense at all. But coming back to this present letter writing, all these skills tend to get a little archaic. On the 22nd of June 1920, a letter was written where it has been said, I have the honor, sir, to remain your excellency's obedient servant. One guess, Dr. Suman Siraman, who wrote this letter? Again, let me quote to you. I have the honor to remain your excellency's obedient servant. So there is obedient and there is an honor about being obedient. Who signed off on this letter? One guess.
But
One
there
yes.
is also a past tense.
Who signed
Whoever
off on this
wrote it,
letter?
there is a past tense. I had.
Who signed off on this
Had
letter?
means
Come on.
past tense. I had
No,
once
sir.
been.
I
had once been obedient.
have
Now
the
I am no
honor.
longer obedient.
I have the honor.
Padmaja,
Sir,
this
it's
is
on
not a
your
good
screen right
example
now.
to quote.
It is written
This
there.
is not even.
Dr. Suman Siraman, you are really going to quibble. You are going to quibble about grammar, but unfortunately, even that is misplaced. I have
You read it. You read it. I had.
H-A-V-E. Have.
Okay, but you didn't
Have
read it
in
as
the
had.
present. I have the honor, sir. Sorry, sir, I'm in the middle of traffic. I'm standing on a road. I'm standing in Rajkot. I do not have the comfort of a living room like you do. Maybe. But let me now correct my grammar and tell you it says, I have the honor, sir, of being your obedient servant. Who signed off on this letter in the year 1920?
Whoever signed off on it in 1920 would not have received pension.
It was
from
Mohandas
the British till
Karamchand
British
Gandhi.
left India
Now, unless
in
you are saying,
1947. It could have been
unless
Gandhi,
you are
it
saying,
could have been
sir,
Nehru.
unless you are
I'm not
saying that the
anything.
father of
What
our nation
you are
was taking pride and happiness
Yes.
in being the servant and obedient to the British, you're doing a great disservice. I don't agree with this characterization of the father of my nation.
1920.
So are we settled now?
I'm sorry.
Are we settled now on that issue?
What did
That to sign off a letter saying I remain your obedient servant is not to say मैं आपका नौकर हूँ.
No, we are not.
So
did
why
the
did-
father
why
of the
did Gandhiji
nation
sign
receive,
it off?
pension from British until 1947? Sorry.
First, have we settled
in
this issue?
1920,
Have we settled
there
the
could
issue
have
of the
been
sign off?
100
Because tomorrow
reasons
it
for
may come up
Mahatma
again.
Gandhi. No, we have not.
Have we settled this debate?
Did Gandhi ask for mercy?
Exactly.
Did Gandhi
So in
ask for pardon?
1920,
Did
sir,
Gandhi say-
in
did
1920,
Gandhi ask
sir,
for- Yes.
in 1920, sir,
Savarkar.
in 1920,
wrote
sir.
Multiple letters. Please, Padmaja, let's
Do you
not
respect
even
Ram
go
Prasad
into this
Bismil?
well-documented history.
Do you
that
remember
the man
Ram Prasad
wrote
Bismil? The person who is one of our foremost revolutionaries.
Yes, I remember Ram Prasad.
Do you respect Ram Prasad Bismil?
As far as
You remember? Do you respect him?
Mahatma Gandhi,
Do you think Bismil deserves our respect?
Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, they did not write mercy petitions to British. They were all imprisoned for years.
Okay, so they are. So now you are in principle. You are in principle okay with the sign off.
8 or 9.
Okay, now you are in principle. Okay, so you are
not.
So you are now in principle okay with the sign off of I remain your most obedient
What did he
servant.
say? Please pardon me.
Okay, what is the
Yes.
matter that? Okay, the sign off is not
Pardon me.
okay. It
I
will depend
not
on what is
oppose you.
written before that.
I will
Professor
not
Rakesh
involve
Sinha.
myself in politics.
Okay.
I will remain your obedient servant.
Right. Right. So very quickly,
What does that
actually,
mean?
let me bring in the
Did
biographer
Gandhi say-
of Veer Savarkar. Hold on. What matters, Uday Mahurkar, is what comes before. The sign off is one thing. Obedient servant or no obedient servant, pleasure or no pleasure, what comes before that is when you say, I shall remain out of active politics for whatever period of time that your excellency might decide. Did Gandhiji ever write such a letter? Did Ram Prasad Bismil ever write such a letter? Uday Mahurkar?
No, let us go ahead. You see, history and letters are being quoted selectively to denigrate Savarkar, and the biggest proof is what I am reading now. You see, Savarkar wrote 10 apologies, mercy petitions to the British, not 1, 2 or 4 or 6, 10 petitions. There was a strategy behind it, and Savarkar was a follower of Shivaji, not Gandhi. You cannot weigh Savarkar's actions with Gandhi's tools. Chhatrapati Shivaji, in his span of 36 years as a ruler and as a fighter, wrote 5 apology letters to Aurangzeb. 3 of these were followed by a treaty between Mughals and Marathas, and all the three treaties were broken by Shivaji only, because it was part of his larger strategy. Correct? And Shivaji was ultimately the ruler. But let us go further into it. In 1913, December, Reginald Craddock, he was a home member, to whom Savarkar had written his mercy petitions. What he writes to the jail in charge of Andaman Nicobar. I am reading out the letter which he wrote. This is a clincher. He says, in the case of Savarkar, it is quite impossible to give him any liberty here. And I think he would escape from any Indian jail. So important a leader he is that the European section of the Indian anarchists would plot for his escape, which would before long be organized. If he were allowed outside the cellular jail in the Andamans, his escape would be certain. His friends would easily charter a steamer to lie off one of the islands, and a little money distributed locally would do the needful, do the rest. This is the letter written by Craddock. I think there cannot be a greater evidence of what Savarkar's letters meant.
But
and Savarkar has not hidden this.
Quoted, okay, but in this letter he also says, okay, but in this letter he also says, whether you believe it or not, I am sincere. I just want to get one clarification. He's written very clearly, I am sincere in expressing my earnest intention of treading. If you can just turn down the light a little bit because it's literally shining in my eyes and I can't see anything. Of treading the constitutional path and trying my humble best to render the hands of the British Dominion a bond of love and respect and mutual help. That is also what he says in this letter. He is saying love and respect and mutual help with the British Dominion.
No, it's a Padmaja, let us not go into the language. It's a standard mercy petition or standard apology letter which has been written by others also. Point is how those people who received these apology letters from Savarkar viewed him. They knew that this was part of his larger strategy to free himself from the jail and then start the struggle against Britishers all over again.
Okay, it was a part of his larger strategy to restart his struggle against the British. But Professor Rakesh Sinha, today the political parties are saying that this is unpardonable. This is unpardonable. The fact that he seemed to be a supplicant of the British. Strategy or no strategy.
There is a race for Muslim votes in the country.
Padmaja, you know, nowhere in the world history is so fractured as it is in India. And nowhere in the world some of the leaders who have the blinkered vision which gives the history not the sense of nationalism but the sense of denationalism. I am telling you because the Rahul Gandhi's sense of history is so poor, and Congress and the people like Suman is borrowing that sense of history. That is a most unfortunate. I am giving two examples. Maharshi Aurobindo left in that time India, British territory that was known for India, and went to Pondicherry. Does it mean that Aurobindo was a traitor? Ram Prasad Bismil in the Kakori conspiracy case, Ram Prasad Bismil and Asfullah Khan both had written mercy petition to the High Court, Federal Court and the Viceroy. Madan Mohan Malviya managed 72 intellectuals from Kasi who wrote that he should be forgiven. And Ram Prasad Bismil wrote that he had indulged in the revolutionary activity which was wrong. In future he would not indulge in the revolutionary activity. This is the strategy of the revolutionary movement. British regime was not a legitimate regime. It was not an elected government. They were the people who came from outside to rule us through unethical means, using the force. Therefore, the revolutionaries had different strategy to deal with the Britishers and imperialism. And this is true in the sense of you go to even the foreign countries like Africa and other countries. Revolutionaries always adopted such a strategy. As far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, I am telling him that he should read the history in the sense of Savarkar's sacrifice is unparalleled. Where was Nehru? Where was Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru? Shyamji Krishna Burma was the father of the Indian Revolution. He was in London. He was hunted by the Britishers. He went to Paris, then to Geneva. Before his death in 1930, he wrote a will that after India become independence, his assets should go to his motherland. What happened? He died in 1930. And his assets was brought to India, none other than the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, who was then the Gujarat Chief Minister. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of the country. His assets were brought to India from Geneva, 1947 to 2000.
Respond to the specific examples given that have been made by Professor Rakesh Sinha, Dr. Suman C. Raman, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, Ram Prasad Bismil. All revolutionaries have used this as a strategy, yet you decide to cherry pick because you want to hit out at one man.
1 second. Oh, no. We have to look at what they did after their release from prison, as the case may have been. What did Mr. Savarkar do after he was released from prison? He says.
What did he do after release? Professor Sinha will tell you. It's a great question you asked. Professor Sinha, exactly. He said that in his letter. But what did he do when he was actually released? Did he go back to revolution? Have you read his biography, sir? Professor Sinha, did he go back? Did he go back to fighting the British after he was given this release? Professor Sinha, go on. Let's talk on facts. Professor Sinha.
I am answering. Yes.
Apparently the autobiography.
Yes, I am coming. There are two phases in Savarkar's life. One phase was the revolutionary phase, and in other phase, he had propounded the concept of geoculture nationalism. That was essential because Britishers were proving that India was never a nation. The challenge before the India was a theoretical formulation of the nationalism in the country. People were demoralized because it was said and it was made to believe the Indians that nationalism is coming from countries like United States, United Kingdom, others. It is unfortunate. India is a land 10,000 years old. Here Savarkar's greatness is that by his authoring the tract Hindutva, he propounded the concept of nationalism in the context of geoculture nationalism. It was not against any community, any race. In fact, he propounded that the basis of Indian nationalism.
Yogi Gade, the real question though, it all comes down to this. Today you have Mr. Gandhi again reiterating that this person is basically declaring himself a knocker of the British, Mr. Yogi Gade, and here is somebody who you hug, your leader walks hand in hand with, and together they claim to save democracy. So either you think V.D. Savarkar is the British country's servant or was the Britishers' servant, or you think he's a hero. It can't be both.
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Yes. Swatantra Veer Savarkar ji is one of the tallest freedom fighters we have. And yes, Shiv Sena is the party since 15 years, and today also Honorable Party President Aaditya Thackeray Sahib has demanded he be given the Bharat Ratna. Why is the government not giving Bharat Ratna to Veer Savarkar ji?
Do you condemn that what Mr. Gandhi has said? Do you condemn what Mr. Gandhi has said then? Do you think it's condemnable and shameful?
Yes, we condemn what Mr. Gandhi has said because Veer Savarkar ji is one of the tallest freedom fighters we have.
Then should Mr. Aaditya Thackeray come out openly and say so?
Yes,
because he said he's the one who participated with Mr. Gandhi in Bharat Jodo.
Wrong. Shiv Sena has not left Hindutva. Instead, you can say if BJP has gone with PDP in Kashmir, does that mean BJP left Hindutva if they have gone with PDP in Kashmir? No. It's the same way.
So this is not about Hindutva. This is about one person who you decide to ally with and what they think about a second individual. You can only think one way about an individual. Either that person is a good person or that person is a bad person.
When BJP formed government with PDP in Kashmir, did BJP leave their ideology because they went with Mehbooba Mufti in Kashmir? No, right? The same way.
Okay, Uday Maurkar, you think it is okay when they say that the Shiv Sena believes what Rahul Gandhi says about saving democracy from Mr. Modi, but the Shiv Sena doesn't believe what Mr. Gandhi says about V.D. Savarkar. Uday Maurkar.
Now, what do you want to ask? Just repeat.
I'm saying, do you believe the Shiv Sena when they say we only agree with Rahul Gandhi's thoughts on Mr. Modi and democracy, but we don't agree with Mr. Rahul Gandhi's thoughts on Savarkar?
Shiv Sena is in a catch-22 situation on Savarkar, because all along it has praised Savarkar. Bharat Thackeray ji was always a great admirer of Savarkar, and therefore Shiv Sena finds, I think, in a very piquant situation, because for political purposes they had to leave a natural alliance and join Congress, and now Congress is not willing to compromise even on things like Savarkar, in spite of knowing the fact, because Congress main constituency is Muslim votes. Today Congress, having lost large constituencies of voters, Muslim constituency remains their main constituency, so they have to attack Savarkar to get minority votes. Shiv Sena will have to decide as to how to go about
Interesting
this
you say that.
catch-22 situation.
Interesting you say that, because all of this is happening bang in the middle of the Gujarat elections, which has famously been called the laboratory of Hindutva in India, and a place where Hindu identity remains even now a very strident topic and a very emotive topic for most of the voters. We'll have to see if this finds resonance in battleground Gujarat as well. For the time being though, thank you very much all gentlemen for joining me with your wisdom. Now I'm going to tell you about Ahmedabad, because it's not just about one city, but it has multiple assembly constituencies within it. Very, very different in the way that they are made up, their demography, the way they vote, they are urban, rural. Is there a common theme running through all of them? Find out in this report. We hit the streets trying to figure out what is the pulse of the people in the polls. Most people these days seem to be getting their opinion by speaking to their taxi drivers from New York to California. We thought we are here in Ahmedabad, we might as well get started with something that's more our style. Auto drivers also, because they happen to be a very, very strong vote bank in terms of mobilization, in terms of speaking their mind. So let's just scope around over here and see which way the wind is blowing.
सीएम अभी भूपेंद्र पटेल है ना, वही चाहिए हमको। भाजपा को ही मिलना चाहिए, उसका काम बोल रहा है।
बीजेपी तो चाहिए ही गुजरात में, लेकिन बीजेपी के साथ यहाँ का सीएम एकदम कड़क चाहिए, योगी जैसा। जनता समझ चुकी है, महंगाई से बहुत तंग आ चुकी है।
पहले 40 रुपया पेट्रोल, आज 100 रुपया है, तो भी चलाने वाला गाड़ी चलाते हैं ना।
केजरीवाल ही आना चाहिए।
कोई भी सरकार आ जाए उसमें कुछ नहीं होने वाला। मोदी सरकार है जो अभी तरक्की कर रहा है, जिस तरह से बना रहा है सब कुछ बहुत बढ़िया है।
सरकार तो बढ़िया है, हमें आम आदमी चाहिए।
Ghatlodia is a heavyweight seat represented by Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, who filed his nomination on Wednesday. But what you heard right now is pretty much the sentiment across various assembly segments of Ahmedabad. Going by the voices heard so far, you would have guessed that Ahmedabad has a strong BJP presence in the 20 assembly segments here. In fact, there are seats in Ahmedabad like Sabarmati, Naroda, Ellis Bridge and Maninagar where BJP hasn't lost a single election for over 2 decades. However, another party brings the promise of change and has made it a point to target urban voters, the Aam Aadmi Party. Has it made a dent, especially among the young, urban and upwardly mobile?
Ghatlodia naturally is a very high value VIP seat because it is represented by the Chief Minister himself. But the lure of change is always there among people who are younger. They are willing to give a chance. आपका वोट इधर पे ही पड़ता है. इस बार कौन सी पार्टी आगे लग रही है?
बीजेपी।
क्यों?
हमें बीजेपी को ही देना है बस।
कोई वजह होगी ना?
इतना अच्छा कुछ किया है, गुजरात को इतना डेवलप किया है।
हाँ।
और अभी पूरे देश को डेवलप करे यानी बीजेपी।
बीजेपी ही आएगी।
क्यों?
दिख रहा है डेवलपमेंट गुजरात में।
किस तरीके का डेवलपमेंट? एक स्पेसिफिक चीज
रोड्स देखिए, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी देख लिए। हॉस्टल हम रहते हैं यहाँ पे, हॉस्टल में फैसिलिटी सारी है।
ना खुश ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, बीजेपी भी अच्छा कर रही है, वो अपनी वजह से अच्छा कर रही है, और कांग्रेस भी कर रही है, वो भी अपनी वजह से कुछ अच्छा कर रही है। गलत तो सभी पार्टी में होता ही है, ऐसा नहीं है कि सभी अच्छा है वो और सब बुरा है वो, सब अपनी वजह से कुछ करते रहे।
आपका मन चेंज का है या बीजेपी का है?
चेंज का।
चेंज का है। आप बताइए, आपका मन चेंज का है बीजेपी का है?
बीजेपी।
क्यों?
बस बीजेपी।
किस वजह से बीजेपी को वोट देना चाहते
मोदी जी है तो मुमकिन है।
हैं? बस उनकी वजह से। आप बताइए इलेक्शन में आपका क्या मन?
इलेक्शन में सबको वोट देना चाहिए और हिंदुत्व के हिसाब से बीजेपी के चांस अच्छे हैं और पूरी हिंदू छवि बना के बीजेपी काम कर रही है, दूसरे को भी लोगों को जोड़ रही है। बाकी हिंदुत्व के मुद्दे पे बीजेपी अच्छा काम कर रही है और सभी हिंदुत्व समाज का प्रतिनिधित्व करके राम मंदिर का जो काम उन्होंने किया है, धारा 370 हटाई है, वो सभी मुद्दे बीजेपी बड़े प्रमुखता से आगे कर रही है और वो करती रहेगी। आगे भी समान नागरिकता कानून का भी कार्रवाई कर रही है, वो सब करने की कोशिश कर रही है।
पर हिंदुत्व तो अरविंद केजरीवाल कह रहे हैं कि नोटों के ऊपर लक्ष्मी जी और गणेश जी डाल देंगे, वो तो और भी बड़े हिंदू हैं।
नहीं, आप खाली कहने से काम नहीं चलता कि नोटों के ऊपर आप गणेश जी लगा दो, लक्ष्मी जी लगा दो। वो आप एक बात बताओ कि दिल्ली में हिंदू मंदिर में पुजारियों को कितनी सैलरी देता है, ये बताएं हमको।
आप बताइए किसकी हवा है?
देश का डेवलपमेंट बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है, चारों तरफ देख लो कितना डेवलपमेंट। 70 साल से क्या हुआ और अभी की स्थिति में आप 10 साल का देखो, आप सब दूर बड़े बड़े हाईवे, सब दूर डेवलपमेंट।
पर 10 साल में नहीं, गुजरात में तो पिछले 25 साल से ठीक हाईवे चल रहे हैं, अच्छे हाईवे हैं।
नहीं, उसके बाद दूसरा डेवलपमेंट भी देखो ना मैम, दूसरा डेवलपमेंट बहुत। हम तो इंदौर एमपी से आए, बाकी जनरली सभी दूर का डेवलपमेंट अच्छा है। मतलब आज कनेक्टिविटी सभी दूर की कितनी अच्छी हो गई है। कहीं भी जाना रहता था, उदयपुर हम इंदौर अहमदाबाद आए, 7 घंटे में अहमदाबाद आ गए। आज कितना अच्छा डेवलपमेंट है। मतलब
दिल्ली मॉडल जो बोलते हैं, एक नई पार्टी आई है यहाँ पे,
और दिल्ली वाले तो खाली बोलते हैं, बाकी देखो उनका खुद का जेल में बंद है, कितना खुद ने, यदि वो सेफ, उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं करा होता तो जेल से अभी तक रिहा करवा लेते हैं उनको। कहीं ना कहीं आरोप लगे तो कहीं ना कहीं 10% सच्चाई होगी ना उसमें।
अच्छा, आप बताइए इलेक्शन में आपको कौन लगता है, कौन आगे अभी गुजरात में?
बीजेपी।
क्यों?
ऑलवेज बीजेपी रहता है यहाँ पे, कोई कंपटीशन है ही नहीं किसी और की।
पर कांग्रेस ने पिछली बार बहुत स्ट्रांग प्रदर्शन किया था।
लास्ट टाइम जो था वो पार्टी डर वाला एक था, इसके लिए वो कांग्रेस वो टाइम पे चल गई थी, लेकिन इस बार कहीं पे दिख नहीं रही है।
तो आपके लिए कौन से मुद्दे इम्पोर्टेंट रहे?
वही एजुकेशन है, जॉब्स मिलने चाहिए, सारी चीजें है यहाँ पे।
और उसमें आप सेटिस्फाइड है स्टेट गवर्नमेंट?
यस, एब्सोल्युटली।
आप?
डेफिनेटली। हम यहाँ पे राजकोट छोड़ के यहाँ पे अहमदाबाद जॉब के लिए आए हैं, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे भी ऑलमोस्ट सैलरी स्टैंडर्ड भी अप है, लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड भी अप है, सभी तरह से हम वी आर सेटिस्फाइड।
पर जॉब्स की बात क्योंकि आपने की, अरविंद केजरीवाल कहते हैं नौकरी प्रॉमिस की गई थी, सबको नौकरियां नहीं दी गई हैं, हम नौकरी देंगे, हम आपकी जेब में पैसा ज्यादा डालेंगे।
एक चीज़ मेरी माननी है कि अगर आपके पास सही एजुकेशन लिया है और सपोज आपने एजुकेशन भी नहीं लिया है, लेकिन आपने कोई भी एक छोटे मौके से आपने स्टार्ट की है जॉब, ठीक है, तो उस चीज़ में आप कितना इन्वॉल्वमेंट देते हैं, कितना आप एक्सपीरियंस गैदरिंग करते हैं, कितना अपना प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज अप्लाई करते हैं, सभी चीज़ें मैंने खुद सीए फाइनल का फर्स्ट ग्रुप क्लियर किया हुआ है, ठीक है। तो जो स्टडी में आया है वो प्रैक्टिकल में बहुत मीन्स अराउंडिंग 25 to 30% ही अप्लाई होता है। बाकी जो प्रैक्टिकल है वो हम अपने एक्सपीरियंस से और अपने नॉलेज के बेस से हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और उसके बिहाफ से हम अपना एक्सपीरियंस जोर लगा रहे हैं उसके अंदर।
तो फैसिलिटी आपको मिल रही है, उससे आप सेटिस्फाइड है सरकार से?
कुछ काम दिख नहीं रहा है, रोड रास्ते, अभी इलेक्शन आ रहा है तब हो रहा है थोड़ा बहुत।
तो आपको लगता है कि कुछ चेंज आ सकता है?
अभी ये टाइम पे आना तो चाहिए।
कौन सी पार्टी आपके लिए ऑप्शन है?
बीजेपी।
अभी तो कहा परिवर्तन होना चाहिए, फिर कह रहे बीजेपी।
वही करेंगे ना अभी उनका पेट भरेगा।
मतलब शिकवा भी उन्हीं से है और वोट भी उन्हीं को देना।
बिल्कुल।
ऑफ कोर्स बीजेपी।
क्यों?
बिकॉज मुद्दा है पहले से, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम से वो बीजेपी आ रही है और बीजेपी काम भी कर रही है और मतलब बीजेपी का काम दिख रहा है, इसलिए स्ट्रांग लग रही है।
क्या काम दिख रहा है?
भी सब काम, जैसे कि वुमेन सेफ्टी से लेके हम गने की वुमेन सेफ्टी है, फिर हमारी हो गई जो कंस्ट्रक्शन है, रोडवेज अच्छे है, टूरिज्म अच्छा है गुजरात का, तो वो सब काम दिख रहा है। रही बात की महंगाई की, तो महंगाई बढ़ती जा रही है पर उसको बीजेपी कुछ टैकल ओवर नहीं कर पा रही है।
तो उससे आपको नाराजगी नहीं है?
ऑफकोर्स नाराजगी है मैम, पर मेन इश्यू ये है कि कोई जो विरोध पक्ष होता है वो एकदम स्ट्रांग नहीं है। कोई गुजरात में किसी को अभी विरोध पक्ष कोई स्ट्रांग दिख नहीं रहा है।
अरविंद केजरीवाल कह रहे हैं मैं ऑल्टरनेटिव हूँ।
वो कह रहे हैं, वी डोंट बिलीव हिम। वी डोंट बिलीव हिम, एवरीथिंग इज कॉन्फिडेंशियल, वी कैन नॉट डिस्क्लोज इट।
अरे वो दिल्ली चला रहे हैं।
दिल्ली चला, ये
देश चला रहे हैं।
हाँ, पर कोई आपको विकल्प दिखता है? जैसे भारत जोड़ो यात्रा कहते हैं कि बहुत नफरत फैल रही है देश के अंदर, तो भारत जुड़ रहा है।
नफरत की बात नहीं है, मोदी और भाजपा से अच्छा कोई नेता मिलेगा तो उसको वोट करेंगे। अभी तक तो वही बेहतर दिख रहा है, अभी तक तो वही बेहतर दिख रहा है।
जो जैसे राघव चड्ढा है या वो यंग है, आपकी तरह यंग है, ईसुदान गादवी हैं, वो भी यंग हैं, उनमें कोई होप नहीं दिखती?
उनको तो मैं जानता नहीं हूँ, नाम भी नहीं सुना है।
अभी तो क्या है, मतलब मोदी जी है वर्ल्ड वाइड पॉपुलर ही है। उनका जितना अभी मतलब पिछले 7-8 साल से वो मतलब बैठे हैं दिल्ली पे, तो उतने उन्होंने जो काम किए, अभी जो हुआ था मतलब क्या बोलते हैं, अपने पुलवामा अटैक हुआ था, उन्होंने पाकिस्तान से वो बदला लेते हैं। तो मोदी जी बेस्ट है कांग्रेस की गवर्नमेंट में। 2011 के अंदर हुआ था अटैक अपने मुंबई पे, तो उसमें कुछ नहीं हुआ 26/11 के ऊपर। तो मोदी जी को सपोर्ट करते हैं, पूरे गुजरात में यही रहेगा।
And then there are the rural seats, the most high profile among them being Virangam. It is an interesting example for many reasons. It is held by the Congress, has sizable Muslim population and has a high profile turncoat Hardik Patel fighting from the BJP.
So elections may come and go, but of course celebrations and life goes on uninterrupted. Exactly what is happening in Virangam, despite the fact that there have been major changes in the political scene here in the recent past. ये बताइए कि विरमगाम में अब तो एक नया कैंडिडेट आ गया है, वो पहले कांग्रेस में था हार्दिक पटेल, अब वो भाजपा से लड़ रहा है, तो इस बार क्या लगता है कौन जीतेगा इधर से?
कोई नक्की नहीं है उसका, किसी का भी कोई नक्की नहीं, कौन आता है कौन जाएगा। हाँ,
पर यहाँ से आपने तो कांग्रेस को चुना था ना, यहाँ कांग्रेस के उनका काम ठीक है?
कोई जरा आया नहीं है, उसने भी इतना कोरोना में 12 महीने सब परेशान हुए, कोई पूछने भी नहीं आया।
यहाँ पर तो खड़ी है आम आदमी पार्टी, कांग्रेस है, भाजपा है, तो किसको मौका दे?
कोई भी सरकार ये मकान बचाएगी उसको मौका दे सकते हैं मैडम हम।
अच्छा, तो यहाँ पे जो नया कैंडिडेट खड़ा हुआ है हार्दिक पटेल, कैसा लगता है?
बढ़िया है।
पर वो तो भाजपा से लड़ रहा है।
हाँ,
तो फिर भी मौका दे सकते हैं?
ये मकान बचाएंगे तो मौका दे देंगे, हमारे को जो सपोर्ट करेगा उसको मौका देंगे।
आपको किसका अभी हवा लग रही है?
आप पार्टी का।
आप पार्टी का?
हाँ।
क्यों, किस वजह से?
वो सब स्कूल बनवाता है, एजुकेशन का है, सब दिल्ली में बढ़िया काम किया, पंजाब में भी चल रहा है अच्छा, बिजली फ्री देने का वादा किया है।
कांग्रेस वाले तो फिर क्या होता है, वो पैसे लेके बिक जाते हैं, उनका कुछ मतलब नहीं होता। वो तो हमारा वोट लेते हैं, फिर पता नहीं वो पैसे लेके और पार्टी में चले जाते, बदल जाते, वो पार्टी बदल देते हैं। इसके लिए अब है ना अपने कांग्रेस पे भरोसा नहीं बैठता जल्दी।
पर अभी आपका जो कांग्रेस का एमएलए चुना, उसका सपोर्ट आपको मिला?
किसी का भी नहीं, ऊपर वाले सिवा किसी का भरोसा नहीं, और किसी को नहीं।
अभी उन पे भरोसा नहीं?
हर नेता बात करते हैं, बाद में पलट जाता है।
तो अभी फिलहाल कांग्रेस से यहाँ पे कांग्रेस से उम्मीद है, आप पार्टी से उम्मीद है?
आम पार्टी से उम्मीद है।
क्यों, क्या वजह?
वजह उसका बिजली फ्री दे रही है, सब गरीबों के लिए अच्छा है वो। यही सब बातें उन्होंने बार बार की हुई है कि ये सब बातें हैं।
किससे उम्मीद है?
सही बात है, आम आदमी पार्टी से।
आम आदमी पार्टी? यहाँ पर आपसे बात करने आए हैं आम आदमी पार्टी?
नहीं, अभी तक तो कोई नहीं आया है,
पर उनको एक मौका देने का सोच रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आप पार्टी या कांग्रेस?
आम पार्टी।
किस वजह से?
बस ऐसे ही आम पार्टी सपोर्ट करेगी ना,
क्योंकि कांग्रेस जो है वो ये कहती है कि देखिए हम लड़ते हैं तो हम जीतने के लिए लड़ते हैं और हम ही टक्कर दे सकते हैं भाजपा को। आप पार्टी वोट काट के बस हरा देगी और कुछ करेगी नहीं, फिर भी आपको लगता है कि मौका मिलना चाहिए?
मौका मिलना चाहिए, केजरीवाल को मौका मिलना चाहिए।
अच्छा, किस वजह से? क्या आपकी दो मांगे क्या है अगर केजरीवाल को वोट देने के?
हमारे यहाँ देखो लाइन का जो भी सपोर्ट करेगा उसको हम वोट देंगे, कांग्रेस हो भाजपा हो क्या आम पार्टी हो।
So very interesting sentiment that comes from here is because the frequent defections that have happened, because remember of the number of MLAs that the Congress has had in Gujarat, close to 20 have switched over since 2017 into the BJP. So there is a sense of unease now where people are thinking that we vote for a certain party, what if then they change sides and go over to the BJP? अच्छा, ये बताइए अभी किस पार्टी का माहौल है यहाँ पे, कौन जीतेगी पार्टी?
तो कौन था वो एक?
हाँ,
बीजेपी।
क्यों?
गुजरात है,
माहौल अच्छा है।
हाँ, माहौल अच्छा है।
यहाँ पे काम ठीक नहीं है कांग्रेस का?
नहीं।
क्यों?
क्योंकि कांग्रेस का विधायक है और भाजपा का शासन है गुजरात में।
हाँ।
तो फिर कैसे काम होगा?
अच्छा, तो अभी आपको क्या लगता है यहाँ का जो कैंडिडेट है नया हार्दिक पटेल वो भी तो कांग्रेस में ही था?
नहीं, लेकिन अभी तो बीजेपी ने है ना, तो फिर बीजेपी, हम कैंडिडेट को नहीं जानते, हम तो सिर्फ मोदी साहब को जानते हैं।
इसमें इतना तो मैं कंप्लेंट नहीं कर सकता हूँ। ये तो क्या है, चुनाव है, आदमी पे इफेक्ट जाएगा। 2-3 दिन पहले
आपको कौन पसंद है इतना तो बता दो।
अभी तो मैं कुंवर जी को मान रहा हूँ, पर कुंवर जी को काट रहे ऐसा मेरे को मालूम पड़ा है।
अच्छा, तो आपका मन कांग्रेस के साथ तभी तक है जबकि कुंवर जी
कांग्रेस में ही हो।
भाजपा तो मुझे सहायता नहीं करता।
अच्छा,
भाजपा वाला तो हमने कई तकलीफ है तो भाजपा वाला है,
लेके चले जाते बाद में
भाजपा वाला तो हमारा
देखते भी नहीं है इधर क्या माहौल चलता है मेरे का।
तो दादी किसी से भी खुश नहीं है?
ना दादी कुछ से नहीं,
कोई मदद नहीं कर रहा
दादी को कोई मदद नहीं कर रहा।
The great thing about India is that everything is so connected. You might be sitting here in Viramgam in Ahmedabad and talking about elections, but suddenly there is a connection to another part of the country. Of course, the people who are here with us, they have their lineage going back all the way to Uttar Pradesh. ये बताइए कि अभी यहाँ पर चुनाव का क्या माहौल है, कौन सी पार्टी आगे दिख रही है?
अभी तो यहाँ चुनाव की पार्टी दिख रही है, कांग्रेस भी है, भाजपा भी है। ठीक है, अभी यहाँ माहौल दिख रहा है कि कौन आएगा ये पता नहीं चल रहा है, माहौल ही ऐसा लग रहा है हमको।
अच्छा,
हाँ, बहुत कटोकटी का समय दिख रहा है यहाँ पे।
मतलब आप बताना नहीं चाहते?
अरे बताने की बात नहीं, माहौल ही ऐसा है।
बताओ भाई, कौन सही लगता है आपको?
शायद ये तो अभी 2 लोग हैं, अभी हार्दिक पटेल भी है और हमारी कास्ट का लोग भी है। अभी उसमें कांटे की टक्कर है, उसमें कुछ अब मैडम पता नहीं बोल सकते।
आपके कास्ट के लोग कौन सी पार्टी से?
ये कांग्रेस की पार्टी से।
पर आम आदमी पार्टी भी तो लड़ रही है,
लेकिन उसका कोई चलन अभी नहीं है मैडम, इसमें वो चलन है ही नहीं उसका कुछ।
तो अपना यदुवंशी और मोदी के बीच में आप फंसे हुए हो?
मोदी के बीच में नहीं, लेकिन मैडम यदु अपना मेरे हमारा यदुवंशी और हार्दिक पटेल के बीच में, मोदी से उसमें कुछ लेना देना ही नहीं है।
अच्छा,
हाँ,
आप क्योंकि ये तो मोदी फैन दिख रहे हैं, आपको हार्दिक पटेल से मतलब?
हार्दिक पटेल से मतलब नहीं है मैडम, ऐसा नहीं बोल रहे। हार्दिक पटेल, इसमें मोदी का कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं आता है। जो अपना केंद्र सरकार की इलेक्शन आता है उसमें मोदी को ही वोट देते हैं। इसमें कोई पता नहीं रहता है, 50% रहता है इस दोनों का।
तो अभी बीच में फंसे हुए हैं कि भाई कास्ट को वोट दें या फिर भाजपा को वोट दें या हार्दिक को वोट दें, आपके मन में कौन है?
वही है, बीजेपी आना चाहिए ना।
अच्छा,
हाँ, सब बीजेपी वाले तो बीजेपी आना चाहिए ना।
पर आपका यदुवंशी तो कांग्रेस के हैं।
ये यदुवंशी तो कांग्रेस के बराबर है, मगर काम कुछ होगा नहीं तो हम क्या करेंगे? बीजेपी का राज चलता है तो बीजेपी को देना पड़ेगा ना।
अच्छा, आपको कौन सही लगता है?
भाजपा आवे कांग्रेस आवे, हमारे जी आवे थे जिना भाग तपे आवे। हाँ, बे सब है, कांटे की टक्कर है। कौन आवे कौन बेदार हमारी खबर नहीं।
आपको अच्छा कौन लगता है?
अच्छा तो 2 लगता है हमें तो, हमारा अच्छा मोदी।
हाँ,
मोदी।
आप बताइए भाई, कौन सही लगता है आपको?
क्या
कौन सी पार्टी अभी मजबूत लग रही है?
अभी तो बीजेपी मजबूत है, वोट किसको देना वो हम नहीं बता सकते, किसी को भी दे सकते हैं।
पर क्यों? यहाँ पर आपके जो विधायक हैं वो तो कांग्रेस के, तो कांग्रेस की सीट है।
कांग्रेस की सीट है, हर साल थोड़ी कांग्रेस की सीट होगी यहाँ पे, चेंज होता रहता है ना। वोट किसको देना वो थोड़ी हम बता सकते हैं, किसी को भी दे सकते हैं। हमको जो अच्छा लगता है वो इसको दे सकते हैं।
पर यहाँ पे जैसे हार्दिक है वो भी कांग्रेस छोड़ करके आए हैं, तो ऐसा नहीं लगता कि भाई जिस पार्टी से थे इतने साल से उसको छोड़ दिया, तो फिर आप कैसे भरोसा कर रहे हो?
नहीं, भरोसा नहीं, पर किसी भी इंसान पे एक बार भरोसा करना चाहिए, ऐसा हमारा मानना है।
आप किसको पसंद करते हो और क्यों?
हम वैसे तो भाजपा के कार्यकर्ता हैं और यहाँ पर 10 साल से कोई अच्छा ऐसा मोड़ नहीं दिख रहा है कांग्रेस की वजह से। बट हमको ऐसा लगता है कि अब हार्दिक पटेल यहाँ पर आए हैं तो कुछ कर सकेंगे, ऐसा भरोसा है। वैसे भी तो यहाँ पर काम लाखा भाई ने भी किए हैं, लेकिन हमें ऐसा लग रहा है कि अगली बार हार्दिक पटेल कुछ करेगा, क्योंकि उन्होंने आंदोलन में बहुत अच्छा योगदान दिया है, बहुत बढ़िया, वो हमने देखा है।
फिर से उन्होंने पार्टी बदल ली तो?
अच्छा नहीं, हम भरोसा करेंगे, क्योंकि कहते हैं ना कि गांव का लड़का गांव के लिए कुछ अच्छा कर सकता है, तो वो भरोसा हमें है और हम उस पर भरोसा कर सकेंगे, करते भी है।
किसकी फाइट हो रही है?
फाइट बस कांग्रेस और भाजपा दोनों को ही।
और आम आदमी पार्टी?
आम आदमी पार्टी में कोई नहीं आएगा पिक्चर में।
क्यों?
वो बहुत बड़ा काम नहीं है, उम्मीदवार नहीं बड़ा हुए हैं।
मैं तो बोलता हूँ ऊपर सरकार कांग्रेस ही बनेगी, यहाँ हार्दिक पटेल जी के।
अच्छा, यहाँ हार्दिक जीतेगा पर कांग्रेस की सरकार बनेगी।
हाँ, इस गांव की गम राशि भी है कि उल्टा चलता है।
ओपोजिट चलता है।
उधर भाजपा की हो तो सरकार कांग्रेस की बनती है, और यहाँ कांग्रेस के होते हैं तो ऊपर भाजपा की होती है।
हार्दिक पटेल
चलने वाला है,
किस तरीके का?
ऐसे ही चलेगा, सिंबल पे चलता है।
Hardik may carry his personal goodwill of people in the region. What about trust? Will he be able to retain voters who gravitated towards him from the Patidar agitation and Congress days? Days when he was a sworn enemy of the BJP.
11 बज रहे हैं और मैं आपका इंटरव्यू कर रहा हूँ और कैमरामैन को एक बार कहूंगा जस्ट पैन एंड शो द विजुअल्स अराउंड एज वेल ऑफ द ऑफिस ऑफ हार्दिक पटेल ओवर हियर एंड द कार्यकर्तास आर स्टिल सिटिंग. He came after the rally and met all the कार्यकर्तास first and then he decided to give us interview. हार्दिक, क्योंकि इस सीट पर माना जाता है कांग्रेस का स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड है पिछले 10 साल से, जैसा आपने बताया कांग्रेस की सीट यहाँ पर रही है. आम आदमी पार्टी भी इस बार फ्रेम है. थोड़ा लग रहा है क्योंकि एंटी इनकम्बेंसी पूरे गुजरात के अंदर बात की जा रही है. बीजेपी कह रही है कि एंटी इनकम्बेंसी नहीं है, प्रो इनकम्बेंसी है. मोदी जी के काम पर और विकास पर वोट जनता देगी. आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी क्या कहती है? कांग्रेस का स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड है.
यस, एंटी इनकम्बेंसी है कांग्रेस के विधायक के खिलाफ. और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ जो भरोसा था वो और बड़ा है, क्योंकि नरेंद्र भाई ने लगातार केंद्र सरकार की और राज्य सरकार की जो योजना हो जमीन पर उतारने का काम किया.
कांग्रेस ने मैनिफेस्टो में ये भी निकाला है कि वो नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम का नाम बदल देंगे अगर उनकी सरकार बनती है तो. आपको लगता है? और उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि पटेल लेगेसी जो है वो खत्म करना चाहती है बीजेपी और इसीलिए नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम नाम रख दिया.
नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने देश की विश्व की सबसे बड़ी प्रतिमा सरदार पटेल जी की बनाई, तब भी ये लोग विरोध करते थे. आज जब नरेंद्र भाई ने एक स्टेडियम से बाहर निकालकर सरदार पटेल को पूरा सरदार पटेल कॉम्प्लेक्स, स्पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लेक्स नाम दिया है, तब भी लोगों को ये दिक्कत है. सरदार पटेल स्पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लेक्स के अंदर बहुत सारी छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं जिसमें एक स्टेडियम है. जब सरदार पटेल का नाम बड़ा होता है तो उसको छोटा करने के लिए कांग्रेस लग जाती है. इस बार भी ये प्रयास कर रही है. लेगेसी की बात करते हो, बताइए आपकी पार्टी में कांग्रेस में पिछले 17-15 साल में कौन से पटेल अध्यक्ष आपने बनाया है? पार्टी का बनाया कभी पटेल अध्यक्ष? पिछले 25 साल से किस पटेल को आपने राज्यसभा भेजा है? पटेल लेगेसी की बात करते हो, सरदार पटेल को प्रधानमंत्री नहीं बनाया, पटेल लेगेसी की बात दूसरे पर करते हो. खुद कांग्रेस पटेल लेगेसी को खत्म करने पे लगी है.
पाटीदार एजिटेशन से आपने राजनीति की शुरुआत करी, वहीं से आपका मूवमेंट भी शुरू हुआ, लोगों के बीच में आपकी पॉपुलैरिटी बहुत बढ़ी. उसके बाद आपने कांग्रेस ज्वाइन करी, अब बीजेपी में आए हैं. क्या लोगों को इस पूरी आपकी जर्नी पर कहीं ना कहीं कुछ आप क्योंकि कैंपेनिंग कर रहे हैं, लोगों के बीच में जा रहे हैं, तो इस पर कुछ सवाल तो नहीं है?
आपको लगा कोई सवाल? लास्ट रैली में आप आए, पूरा गांव था, आपको कहीं लगा प्रॉब्लम? लोग सवाल तब करते जब भरोसा ना हो.
पटेल पाटीदार और पटेल सब
वहाँ सब लोग थे, आपको आइडिया नहीं है. वो पूरा गांव एक्चुअली पटेल कम्युनिटी का था. वहाँ दूसरी जाति के भी लोग थे. भरोसे से सब कुछ होता है. उनको भरोसा है कि दिस पर्सन, दिस यूथ हमारे लिए कुछ करेगा, हमारे लिए लड़ेगा, हमारे लिए बोलेगा. लोग सपोर्ट करते हैं. गांव में गया, किसी ने मुझे कुछ नहीं कहा. मीडिया को इसलिए चिंता होती है कि कुछ मसाला मिलना चाहिए इसमें.
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. युवा आप नेता हैं, सबसे युवा हैं. अगर आप जीतते हैं तो सबसे युवा एमएलए बनके आप गुजरात असेंबली में जाएंगे. क्या युवाओं के लिए, क्या युवा लड़कियों के लिए आपके प्रोमिसेस रहने वाले हैं?
तो माय फर्स्ट प्रॉमिस इज द यूथ, दिस असेंबली द बिगेस्ट कंपनी. 3 बड़ी नेशनल कंपनियां हैं, 3 मल्टीनेशनल कंपनियां हैं. तो हमारे यहाँ के नौजवानों को एजुकेशन के बाद यही अच्छी रोजगार मिले ताकि उनको अहमदाबाद न जाना पड़े, कड़ी न जाना पड़े.
पूरे गुजरात के लिए थोड़ा बहुत भी असेसमेंट आपका होगा. कांग्रेस और आम आदमी पार्टी, क्या ट्रायंगुलर फाइट है गुजरात में आपके अकॉर्डिंग या नहीं है?
बिल्कुल नहीं है. मीडिया के लिए हो सकती है, मीडिया सर्वे के लिए हो सकती है, जमीनी स्तर पे नहीं.
चलिए, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए. दैट वाज हार्दिक पटेल क्लियरली स्टेटिंग दैट ही इज वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट फ्रॉम हिज सीट फ्रॉम गुजरात दैट द भारतीय जनता पार्टी विल अगेन कम बैक टू द पावर.
In Ahmedabad, the message is clear. The urban seats still are steadfastly behind the BJP. Issue of nationalism, Hindu pride and most importantly, the face of Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself hold sway. The crucial indiscernible still remains. Will the Congress vote split in a scenario where after a long time the state has a three-cornered or even a four-cornered fight with the addition of Aam Aadmi Party and AIMIM? It is early days yet. With Padmaja Joshi, Bureau Report, Times Now.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की।
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. You're watching the News Hour at 10.
The Calcutta High Court has ordered TMC Minister Akhil Giri to submit his statement in the form of an affidavit. The court has also asked the police to submit the inquiry report. Another complaint filed against West Bengal leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari over his controversial tweet. Adhikari claimed that an event at Taj Bengal Hotel was the birthday bash of Abhishek Banerjee's 3-year-old son. Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray chief Uddhav Thackeray and his family paid tribute to Balasaheb Thackeray on his 10th death anniversary at Shivaji Park in Dadar. The Supreme Court has allowed the trial of the Gyanvapi case, rejecting the petition of the Muslim side. Delhi court has denied AAP Minister Satyendra Jain's bail plea in the money laundering case.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेमामालिनी
वेरी गुड। कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए ही राधे राधे। कल राखी सावंत का he will also become. बनना चाहेंगे उसको तो आप बनने नहीं देंगे। आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा। आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
You're watching the News Hour at 10.
In a sixth letter against Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar called him a two-faced actor. Says Chinese businessmen supply tablets for Delhi schools. National Highways Authority of India has issued a notice to Mysore City Corporation granting them 1 week time for the removal of the controversial dome-shaped structures at bus shelters in Mysuru. The Enforcement Directorate has arrested TMC leader Anubrata Mondal to question him about his involvement in the cattle smuggling case. Telugu Desam Party President Chandrababu Naidu has said the 2024 elections would be his last if people did not elect the party to power. Income Tax Department conducted raids at residence of an aide of Karnataka Leader of Opposition Siddaramaiah. Gayatri Shantegowda faces allegations of tax evasion, several documents seized.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.